Every word you speak is a reflection of your character, a signal of your intentions, and a chance to move people closer to trust and action. But if your words lack honesty, clarity, and respect, they can just as easily create doubt, distance, and disconnection. Most people want to be seen as confident and respected, yet many hold back because they are unsure how to express themselves. They often speak without clarity, lose focus in the moment, or sound uncertain when they truly want to be strong. Talking like a leader is not about sounding perfect. It is about choosing words that inspire trust, sharing thoughts with calm energy, and speaking in a way that makes people want to listen. Leaders do not just talk. They listen carefully, guide with purpose, and use their voice to bring people together. Today we will explore how to shift from talking without impact to speaking with presence, conviction, and influence. If you're ready to step up and talk like a leader, then let's dive in. Chapter 1. Speak with calm confidence that earns instant respect. People often believe that leadership begins with power or position, but in truth, it begins with presence. The way you enter a room speaks before your words do. People notice if you look restless or calm, nervous or steady, scattered or focused. Every person you meet is quietly asking one question in their mind. Can I trust this person to guide me? That answer comes not from your title but from your tone, your posture, and your energy. Calm confidence is not about being louder than others. Calm confidence is about being grounded in yourself. People respect someone who does not need to force respect. When you speak with steady calm, others lean in because they feel safe with your words. Think about moments when you felt nervous before a conversation. Maybe your hands were shaking or your voice cracked. That feeling is natural, but it does not inspire confidence. Now remember a time when someone spoke to you with ease. They did not rush. They did not shout. They did not push. They spoke with patience. They spoke with clarity. That calm presence gave you trust in them without them asking for it. This is the foundation of leadership communication. People trust leaders who seem unshaken when others are stressed. They believe in those who can stay steady in a storm. Calm confidence is not fake bravado. It is the habit of controlling yourself before you ask others to follow. When you practice calm confidence, you begin with the body. Stand tall. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Place your feet firm on the ground. Breathe slowly and deeply before you speak. When you breathe with control, your voice comes out smooth instead of shaky. People hear certainty in a calm voice. A leader who breathes with control does not rush through sentences. They pause at the right places. They speak in a rhythm that people can follow. Calm confidence means you choose silence as easily as you choose words. The pause is often more powerful than the statement. It allows your message to land in the mind of the listener. People often mistake confidence with volume. A loud voice without calm feels aggressive. It pushes people away instead of pulling them closer. Confidence with calmness is different. It is firm but never forceful. It is steady but never stiff. It is present but never overwhelming. When you talk like this, people do not just hear you. They feel you. They sense trust in your tone. They feel clarity in your pace. They see assurance in your eyes. They believe you before they even process your words. This is how respect is earned without asking. In daily life, you can test this. The next time you are in a group, notice how quickly people turn to the one who speaks slowly and clearly. They may not speak often, but when they do, the room listens. That person holds attention because they are not in a rush to prove themselves. They speak as if they already have value. And that is what true leaders do. They know their worth and express it without desperation. Calm confidence tells people you are not chasing approval. Calm confidence tells people you already have strength within. Learning to talk with calm confidence is also about self-awareness. You must learn how you come across. Do you speak too fast when nervous? Do you avoid eye contact? Do you fidget with your hands? These small details tell others about your state of mind. If you appear unsettled, people will hesitate to trust you. But if you appear steady, people will find comfort in your presence. Practice this by recording yourself or asking for feedback. Pay attention to how your tone sounds. Pay attention to your posture. Pay attention to your pace. Improvement in these areas builds the habit of calm confidence over time. Another key is to listen before you speak. When you listen fully, you gather your thoughts and respond with clarity. People respect leaders who do not rush into answers. They respect leaders who take a moment to think. A calm leader does not fear silence. A calm leader uses silence as a tool. When you pause to think, it shows your words are considered and not careless. This habit builds instant credibility. People want to follow someone who values thoughtfulness over quick reaction. Listening with patience and speaking with care sends the message that you are in control of yourself and therefore capable of guiding others. There is also a deep connection between confidence and preparation. Confidence does not appear by chance. It is built on practice. If you want to speak with calm authority, prepare your ideas before important conversations. When you know your material, your mind is free to focus on delivery. Lack of preparation causes anxiety. Anxiety causes shaky speech. Preparation brings ease. Ease brings calm. Calm earns respect. Every leader who appears naturally confident has usually prepared more than others realize. Calm confidence is built long before the moment of speaking. You may wonder if everyone can learn this. The answer is yes. Calm confidence is not reserved for the gifted few. It is a skill anyone can practice. It starts with simple steps. Control your breathing. Slow down your pace. Stand tall with steady posture. Maintain eye contact without staring. Use pauses wisely. Listen before speaking. Prepare your ideas. Each of these steps builds layers of calm authority. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. One day you find yourself speaking with ease and others listening with respect. Respect is not demanded. Respect is given when people sense you are worthy of it. Calm confidence sends that signal. People follow leaders who give them certainty. They feel secure with someone who does not panic in pressure. They admire someone who does not shout to be heard. They trust someone who speaks steadily and clearly. This is the kind of leader people choose to follow even without being asked. Calm confidence is a choice you make every time you open your mouth to speak. It is the quiet strength that turns simple words into trusted guidance. Your goal is not to impress with fancy words. Your goal is not to dominate with volume. Your goal is to connect through steady, calm presence. Imagine yourself walking into a room where everyone is anxious. Your calm voice becomes the anchor that grounds them. Imagine standing before a team that feels uncertain. Your confident tone becomes the guide that directs them. Imagine sitting with a friend who feels lost. Your steady presence becomes the reassurance they need. This is leadership through words. This is leadership through calm. As you keep practicing, notice how people respond differently. They look at you more when you speak. They ask for your opinion more often. They give weight to your words. This is not because you changed your knowledge overnight. It is because you changed your presence. People follow leaders not only for what they know, but for how they carry themselves. Chapter 2. Use simple words that connect with every listener. People struggle to be heard because they think they must sound impressive. They fill their speech with big words that confuse more than they inspire. Many leaders lose their teams because they forget that communication is not about showing off knowledge. Communication is about connection. You cannot connect with people if your words feel heavy or distant. You cannot inspire people if they need to pause and figure out what you mean. The world is full of noise and distraction. People long for clarity. People respect leaders who speak in a way that anyone can understand. Think back to a time when someone used complicated language with you. Maybe they used words you had never heard before. Maybe they explained in a way that felt more like a lecture than a conversation. You might have nodded politely, but inside you felt lost. You may have even felt frustrated. Now compare that with a time when someone explained something to you in clear and simple words. You understood right away. You felt included. You felt valued. That is what leaders create when they speak with simplicity. They open the door for every listener to walk through with ease. Simple words do not mean weak words. Simple words are powerful because they reach the heart quickly. When you speak in plain language, people do not need to decode your message. They feel it right away. They remember it easily. They repeat it to others. Great leaders know that clarity is more important than complexity. People trust what they can understand. If they cannot understand you, they will not follow you. If your words confuse them, your message is lost. Speaking with simple words is not lowering your standard. It is raising your impact. When you talk to your team or your audience, imagine that every listener has a different background. Some may have more education. Some may have less. Some may know the subject well. Some may not know anything about it. If you speak with simple words, you connect with all of them. No one feels left behind. No one feels small. They all feel part of the message. This is how respect grows. This is how unity forms. Leaders who use simple language make everyone feel included in the journey. You can test this in your daily conversations. The next time you explain something, notice if people lean in with interest or if they look away in confusion. If they lean in, your words are simple enough to connect. If they look away, you may be making things too complicated. Watch their eyes. Listen to their silence. Pay attention to their questions. If they keep asking for clarity, you are not speaking simply enough. Adjust your words until the message is clear. The best leaders are not those who sound the smartest. The best leaders are those who make others feel smart. Using simple words requires humility. It means you care more about reaching people than impressing them. It means you are willing to slow down and choose words that everyone understands. Some leaders avoid this because they fear sounding too basic. But the truth is that people admire leaders who can take something complex and make it easy to grasp. That skill is rare. That skill shows wisdom. Simplicity is not a lack of knowledge. Simplicity is the highest form of knowledge. When you master something, you can explain it to anyone in simple terms. Think about how children learn. They ask endless questions. They want things explained in a clear way. If you can explain to a child, you can explain to anyone. The same principle applies in leadership. When you use simple words, you respect your audience. You honor their time. You make it easy for them to take action. This is why leaders who speak simply often inspire the most change. They remove the barriers between their message and the listener. They speak in a way that lands directly in the mind and heart without confusion. Another way to practice this is to replace abstract terms with everyday examples. Instead of saying productivity, say getting things done. Instead of saying optimize, say make it better. Instead of saying implement, say put into action. Everyday words create instant understanding. You can feel the difference in your own body when you hear them. Complex terms feel distant. Simple terms feel close. Leaders who use everyday words make people feel like they are having a real conversation, not sitting in a lecture. Your tone also plays a role in making simple words powerful. If you speak slowly, with calm and care, the message feels more direct. People need time to absorb even simple words. Do not rush. Do not pile sentences on top of each other. Allow space for your message to breathe. When you pause, people have time to reflect. When you speak clearly, they can repeat your words in their mind. This is how you plant ideas that last. Simple words with clear tone sink deep into memory. They stay with people long after the conversation ends. Simple words also build trust across cultures and backgrounds. In a global world, not everyone speaks the same first language. When you use simple language, you cut through those barriers. You make it easier for people from different places to understand you. You make it easier for your message to travel further. Leaders who use simple language can influence across borders. Their words do not get lost in translation. Their words carry meaning in every corner. That is the strength of simplicity. You may notice that simple words also make you more confident. When you stop trying to sound impressive, you relax. You do not have to worry if people will understand. You know they will. That ease shows in your voice and your face. People feel it. They trust you more. They listen longer. They share your message with others. Speaking simply frees you from the burden of proving yourself. It allows you to focus on serving your audience instead of performing for them. That shift makes you a true leader. Another benefit is that simple words are easier to act on. People cannot act on a message they do not understand. If you want your team to move quickly, give them simple instructions. If you want people to remember your vision, state it in clear terms. If you want action, make the message simple. Complexity delays action. Simplicity drives action. Great leaders know that people are busy and distracted. They give their message in a form that can be remembered in a single line. That is why simple words are powerful tools of leadership. Start practicing this skill in small ways. When you send an email, remove unnecessary words. When you give a presentation, cut out jargon. When you explain an idea, imagine you are speaking to a close friend. Speak with honesty. Speak with clarity. Speak with care. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, people will begin to notice that your words always make sense. They will look forward to hearing you speak. They will trust that your message will always be clear. That trust becomes your influence. Respect is not built by sounding complicated. Respect is built by making people feel understood. When you use simple words, you give people the gift of clarity. You give them the comfort of knowing they will never feel small in your presence. You give them confidence to act on your message without hesitation. That is the gift of a true leader. That is the power of speaking simply. Chapter 3. Ask clear questions that open doors for others. One of the biggest struggles people face in communication is the fear of not being understood. Many people feel they are not heard at work, not noticed in conversations, and not valued in meetings. They try to speak louder, or they try to say more, but the impact is small. What they often miss is the power of questions. A leader knows that influence is not only in statements. Influence is also in questions. The right question opens a door in someone's mind. It allows them to think deeper. It makes them feel valued. It brings out answers they did not know they had. When you ask clear questions, you give people space to step forward. That is what leadership does. Think about the last time someone asked you a question that felt meaningful. Maybe they asked you about your ideas instead of telling you what to do. Maybe they asked how you were feeling instead of ignoring your silence. You probably felt lighter. You probably felt important. Now think about a time when someone asked you a vague question. It may have been confusing. It may have made you doubt yourself. A weak question closes the door. A clear question opens it wide. Leaders must learn how to ask questions that bring light instead of confusion. A clear question is simple and direct. It does not try to impress. It does not carry hidden judgment. It does not make the other person feel small. A clear question gives someone the confidence to answer. It guides them without trapping them. For example, instead of asking, "Why are you always late?" a leader can ask, "What can help you arrive on time?" The first question feels like blame. The second feels like support. The first builds fear. The second builds trust. The way you ask shapes the way people respond. Asking clear questions also shows respect. When you ask someone's opinion, you are telling them they matter. When you ask for their thoughts, you are telling them their voice counts. People who feel heard will give more of themselves. People who feel ignored will give less. A leader multiplies potential by asking more and telling less. The person who asks great questions builds an atmosphere where people open up. They stop holding back. They start sharing more ideas. They start owning their role. That shift changes the culture of any group. Clarity is vital because many people already doubt themselves. If your question is vague, they hesitate. They wonder if their answer is good enough. They hold back to avoid embarrassment. When your question is clear, they feel safe. They know what you are asking. They know how to respond. They feel you want to hear them. Leaders create that safety. They remove the fog from communication. They make questions simple, open, and kind. That is what makes people contribute freely. You can practice this skill in daily interactions. Instead of asking, "How is it going?" which often gets a short answer, you can ask, "What has been the biggest challenge for you today?" Instead of asking, "Do you understand?" which pressures people to nod yes, you can ask, "What part makes the most sense to you and what part needs more clarity?" These small adjustments change everything. They show you are not looking for quick approval. You are looking for real connection. Clear questions prove that you care enough to listen beyond the surface. Questions also unlock creativity. When you give an order, people follow. When you ask a question, people think. Orders close the mind. Questions open it. If you want your team to grow, ask them, "What new ideas do you see for this project?" If you want them to take ownership, ask them, "What do you think is the next step?" If you want them to feel trusted, ask them, "How would you solve this?" People rise when you believe in them. A clear question tells them you believe they have something worth sharing. Another important part of asking clear questions is timing. If you ask in the middle of someone's stress, they may not be ready to answer. If you ask when they feel calm, they open more easily. A leader notices the right moment. They sense when someone is holding back. They choose a time when the person can give a thoughtful response. Asking at the right time shows sensitivity. It proves you are not only interested in answers but also in the person. That balance makes your questions powerful. Good leaders also know that questions must match the listener's level. If you ask a question that is too advanced, the person feels overwhelmed. If you ask a question that is too shallow, they feel unchallenged. The right question stretches them just enough. It makes them think but does not make them panic. It encourages growth without pressure. Leaders watch carefully to find that balance. They do not use the same question for everyone. They adjust based on who they are speaking to. That flexibility creates deeper trust. Asking clear questions also helps resolve conflict. When people argue, they often talk over each other. Emotions rise and clarity disappears. A leader can step in with a calm question. They can ask, "What do you need most right now?" They can ask, "What outcome would feel fair to you?" These questions shift the focus from anger to solutions. They move the conversation from tension to progress. Clear questions calm emotions because they give people a clear path to express themselves. That is leadership in action. Clear questions also reveal hidden potential. Many people have ideas locked inside. They wait for someone to ask. They wait for someone to give them permission to speak. A leader unlocks that by asking, "What talent do you want to use more? What role excites you the most? What skill do you want to learn next?" These questions make people feel seen. They awaken parts of them that may have been asleep. Leaders bring out the best in people by asking the right questions at the right time. You will notice that asking questions also changes you. It makes you a better listener. It forces you to pay attention to the answers. It reminds you that leadership is not about talking the most. It is about creating space for others. When you ask, you learn. When you ask, you grow. Leaders are learners, and questions are the tool for learning. The more you ask, the more you discover about the people you lead. The more you discover, the stronger your leadership becomes. Another practice is to make your questions open instead of closed. A closed question gives only a yes or no. An open question invites a story. A closed question ends a conversation quickly. An open question keeps it alive. For example, instead of asking, "Did you like the meeting?" ask, "What did you take away from the meeting?" Instead of asking, "Is this clear?" ask, "What part feels most useful to you?" The open form encourages reflection. It gives people space to expand. That space is where insight grows. Asking questions also builds long-term influence. People may forget what you told them, but they remember how you made them think. They remember how you made them feel. A clear question lingers in the mind long after the conversation ends. It makes them reflect later in the day. It stays with them in quiet moments. That is how questions shape people even when you are not around. Leaders leave behind questions that guide people to better choices. Finally, remember that questions are a gift. When you ask someone clearly, you are giving them attention. You are saying, I value your thoughts. I value your voice. I value your experience. That gift can change someone's day. It can lift their spirit. It can open their future. Leaders give that gift often. They ask not to control but to empower. They ask not to test but to encourage. They ask not to trap but to free. Asking clear questions is one of the simplest but strongest tools any leader can use. Chapter 4. Share stories that inspire action and deeper belief. People are surrounded by facts every day. They hear numbers at work. They read reports. They sit through presentations filled with details. Yet most of those facts are forgotten within hours. What stays with people are the stories. A story stays in the heart long after the details fade. A story brings the listener into the experience. A story allows them to see, to feel, and to imagine. Leaders who share stories create connection. They move beyond dry information and give people a reason to believe. A leader who can tell a story is a leader who can inspire action that facts alone cannot spark. Think about your own life. There are lessons you learned from books, and there are lessons you learned from stories someone shared with you. You may not remember every page of the book, but you remember the story told by your father, your teacher, or your mentor. You remember how it made you feel. You remember how it changed the way you looked at yourself. That is why leaders must not rely only on statements. They must learn to tell stories that people can carry in their memory. Stories are not entertainment. Stories are seeds that grow belief. When you share a story, you make your message real. Instead of saying hard work matters, you tell the story of someone who worked with discipline and changed their life. Instead of saying persistence is important, you tell the story of someone who refused to give up and finally succeeded. People may argue with your statement, but they cannot ignore a story. A story touches their emotions in a way logic cannot. They see themselves in the character. They feel the struggle. They taste the victory. That emotional link creates deeper belief. The most effective stories are simple and personal. You do not need grand adventures or dramatic events. You can share small moments that carry meaning. You can share the time you failed and what you learned. You can share the challenge you faced and how you overcame it. People do not need a perfect hero. They need a human story they can relate to. When you share your own story with honesty, you invite others to trust you. They see that you are real. They see that your lessons come from experience, not just from theory. That trust makes your message powerful. A good story also has details that touch the senses. Do not just say you struggled. Describe what it felt like when you were tired and ready to quit. Do not just say you succeeded. Describe the sound of people clapping or the feeling of relief in your chest. When people hear those details, they feel like they were there with you. They remember it more vividly. The stronger the picture in their mind, the deeper the belief in your message. A story is not just words. It is an experience you create for the listener. Leaders must also know when to share a story. The right story at the right moment can shift the energy of an entire room. If your team feels discouraged, share a story of someone who overcame a similar setback. If they feel uncertain, share a story of someone who took a chance and discovered strength. If they feel tired, share a story of renewal. Timing matters. A story told at the wrong time feels like a distraction. A story told at the right time feels like guidance. Leaders sense the mood of the room and choose stories that match the need of the moment. Stories also build culture. Every organization has stories that are told again and again. Stories of how the company started. Stories of struggles faced in the early days. Stories of victories that shaped the path forward. These stories give identity. They remind people of their values. They remind them of their purpose. Leaders who repeat those stories keep the culture alive. They make sure new people feel part of something bigger. They make sure everyone remembers why they are there. Culture is carried not by rules but by stories. You do not have to be a perfect storyteller to use this skill. You only need to be real. Speak in simple words. Share the truth of what happened. Describe what you felt and what you learned. Pause to let the listener absorb it. Do not rush. Do not decorate the story with too much detail. Focus on the lesson. A story should be clear, honest, and alive. Over time, you will see how people lean in when you begin to share. You will see how their eyes focus more. You will see how they remember and repeat your stories to others. That is how influence spreads. Stories also have the power to turn belief into action. When people hear a rule, they may agree, but when they hear a story, they want to do something. The story stirs their emotions. It gives them a model to follow. It makes them think, if that person could do it, maybe I can too. Leaders who share stories do not only inform, they ignite action. They plant a vision of what is possible. They make people believe that change can happen for them. That belief is the spark for action. Personal stories are powerful, but you can also share the stories of others. You can talk about someone in history who faced impossible odds. You can talk about a member of your team who grew through effort. You can talk about a stranger whose courage inspired you. The key is to make the story connect with your audience. Bring it to life. Show what it means for them. Do not let it remain far away. Tie it to their own journey. When they feel the link, the story becomes part of them. Leaders who share stories also shape the future. They do not only tell stories of the past, they tell stories of what could be. They paint a picture of the future in the form of a story. They describe how it will feel when the goal is reached. They describe the pride, the relief, the celebration. People see that picture and move toward it. Facts describe the goal, but stories make people feel it. Stories give people a reason to push through the hard days. They give people hope that the future can be real. Every time you stand before a group, ask yourself what story they need right now. Do they need encouragement? Do they need vision? Do they need belief? Choose a story that carries that message. Tell it with honesty. Tell it with clarity. Tell it with feeling. Let them see you in the story. Let them feel the lesson. Then step back and let the story do the work. People will carry it long after you stop speaking. That is the power of leadership through stories. The human mind is wired to remember stories more than rules. The human heart is wired to respond to stories more than commands. Leaders who use stories wisely will always have deeper influence. They will always inspire stronger belief. They will always move people to action. Stories are the bridge between words and action. They are the connection between teaching and transformation. A leader who learns to share stories is a leader who can change lives. Chapter 5. Keep your tone steady even when pressure rises. Everyone has faced a moment when pressure takes over the room. Maybe it was during a heated meeting. Maybe it was when someone challenged you in front of others. Maybe it was when things went wrong and everyone looked at you for the answer. In those moments, your tone becomes the signal others read. If your tone shakes, they feel doubt. If your tone rises with panic, they feel fear. But if your tone stays steady, they feel safety. They feel direction. They feel they can trust you. Leaders are remembered most for how they speak when the pressure is highest. You may think that steady tone comes naturally to some people, but in truth it is a choice and a practice. A steady tone is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about showing control of yourself even when things are not perfect. People do not expect leaders to have every solution instantly. They expect leaders to stay calm enough to think clearly. If you lose your tone, you lose their trust. If you keep it steady, you give them strength. A steady tone is like a hand on the shoulder in the middle of chaos. It says we can handle this. One reason people lose steadiness is because emotions take over the voice. Anger sharpens the tone. Fear weakens the tone. Frustration speeds up the words. The leader's task is to control emotions before speaking. That means pausing for a breath. That means choosing slower words. That means lowering the volume instead of raising it. Every time you do this, you regain control of yourself. And when you control yourself, you earn the right to lead others. People follow calm voices because calm voices create clear thinking. Another key to keeping your tone steady is preparation. Pressure often feels heavier when you are unprepared. If you walk into a meeting without clear thoughts, you feel nervous. That nervousness leaks into your voice. Your tone rises and falls without control. But if you walk in prepared, your mind feels anchored. Your tone reflects that. Even when you face tough questions, your voice remains calm because you trust your preparation. Confidence in knowledge shows up as steadiness in tone. Leaders who prepare well can face storms without sounding shaken. Pressure also tests patience. Many people rush their words when stress builds. They think speed will solve the moment. But speed only makes others feel more rushed. A steady tone is slow and firm. It takes time to form each sentence. It respects silence as much as sound. The leader who slows down under pressure communicates strength. They remind everyone that panic is not the answer. They remind everyone that steady steps win more than quick reactions. People breathe easier when they hear a leader speak slowly in a hard moment. It is also important to match your tone with your body. If your hands are shaking or your face is tense, people sense the conflict. You cannot hide it. Your voice and your body must agree. To practice this, notice how you hold yourself in tense conversations. Are your shoulders rising? Is your jaw tight? Is your breathing short? These signals will show in your tone. Release them. Relax your shoulders. Breathe deeper. Allow your body to support a calm voice. A steady body creates a steady tone. That is how presence and voice work together. People remember leaders not for every word they spoke, but for how they made them feel when times were hard. Your tone is the emotional guide. If you sound sharp, you create stress. If you sound uncertain, you create doubt. If you sound steady, you create confidence. That confidence spreads. People start mirroring your tone. They speak more calmly. They think more clearly. They act more wisely. This is how one steady voice can shift the mood of a group. This is why leaders must guard their tone carefully. You can train your tone before pressure moments come. Practice speaking on difficult topics with a calm pace. Record yourself. Notice if your tone rises too high or falls too low. Notice if you rush your words or lose clarity. Then practice slowing down, lowering the voice slightly, and keeping each word steady. This training prepares you for the real test. When pressure arrives, your body remembers the practice. Your tone stays level because you trained it to stay level. Leadership is not about reacting. Leadership is about preparing to respond with control. A steady tone also builds respect across disagreements. When others raise their voices, you do not need to match them. If they shout, you can stay calm. If they insult, you can stay steady. This does not mean weakness. It means strength. It means you are not pulled into their storm. You hold your ground with clarity. That steadiness often cools the heat in the room. It shows that you value solutions more than reactions. Leaders who master this gain influence because people know they cannot be shaken into poor behavior. In times of crisis, the tone of the leader can be more important than the words. People may not remember every instruction, but they remember if your voice calmed them or scared them. They remember if your tone gave them hope or added to their fear. This memory shapes how they see you forever. If you stay steady, they will trust you in future storms. If you lose control, they will hesitate to follow you next time. Leadership is tested in the voice before it is tested in the plan. Steady tone also protects your own thinking. When your voice stays calm, your mind stays clearer. When your voice shakes, your thoughts scatter. Your tone is not only for others, it is for yourself. Speak steadily, and you remind your brain that you are in control. That self-control strengthens your decisions. Better decisions under pressure create better outcomes. So keeping a steady tone is not only about influence, it is also about effectiveness. It keeps your own mind sharp when you need it most. You can begin practicing steadiness in small daily moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, keep your tone calm if you speak. When someone interrupts you in conversation, keep your tone steady as you respond. When plans change suddenly, use a calm voice to adjust. These small habits build the muscle of steadiness. Then, when the big moments of pressure come, you already know how to respond. The skill is there. The habit is strong. The voice stays steady because you trained it in daily life. Every leader will face pressure. There is no escape from that. What matters is how you sound when it comes. Do you rise in panic or do you steady yourself? Do you lose control or do you guide others with calm words? People listen to the tone more than the content when emotions are high. They look for safety in your voice. They look for strength in your tone. If you can give them that, you will earn their trust at the deepest level. A steady tone under pressure is not only communication, it is leadership itself. Chapter 6. Choose words that build bridges, not walls. Every day people say words without realizing the impact they leave behind. A single word can either bring two people closer or push them apart. Many relationships fail not because of large problems, but because of careless words spoken in the heat of a moment. At work, a team can lose energy not because of lack of skill, but because of sharp words that created distance. Leaders must understand this truth. Words can destroy trust quickly, and words can build trust slowly. The difference comes from the choice you make before you speak. Leaders choose words that bring people together. Think about a time when someone spoke to you harshly. You may have remembered not only the word but also the sting it carried. It stayed in your memory longer than they intended. It may have changed the way you saw them. Now think about a time when someone chose kind and respectful words with you even when you made a mistake. You likely felt encouraged instead of broken. You likely felt willing to improve instead of walking away. This is the difference between walls and bridges. Walls close people off. Bridges keep them connected. Building bridges with words begins with intention. Before speaking, ask yourself, will these words make the person defensive or open? Will these words give hope or bring doubt? Will these words encourage teamwork or create distance? When you pause to consider this, you gain control of the effect you leave behind. Too many people speak quickly and regret it later. Leaders must learn to pause. Leaders must learn to choose. The right words at the right time can save a relationship, lift a team, or guide a person to growth. Respect is the foundation of bridge building. When your words carry respect, people listen without fear. They feel safe enough to open their thoughts. They feel valued enough to share their ideas. Respect does not mean avoiding truth. Respect means telling the truth in a way that protects dignity. For example, instead of saying you are wrong, a leader can say, I see it differently. Can we explore this more? The message is still clear, but the words build understanding instead of offense. Respectful words keep doors open. Another key is to replace blame with curiosity. Blame builds walls instantly. When you blame, the other person closes. They stop hearing the message. They begin defending themselves. Curiosity builds bridges. If instead of saying you failed again, you ask what made this difficult for you, the person feels supported. They feel you want to understand, not just accuse. That one change turns conflict into dialogue. Leaders who ask instead of accuse are leaders who build trust. They use words to invite conversation instead of ending it. Tone also matters as much as words. The same sentence can feel different depending on how it is said. A soft voice can turn a sharp word into guidance. A harsh tone can turn a kind word into insult. Leaders pay attention not only to what they say, but how they say it. They slow down. They use calmness. They avoid sarcasm or mockery. When tone and words both show care, people feel the sincerity. They feel the bridge forming in the interaction. They want to stay engaged because they feel respected in the exchange. Bridge building also means using words that focus on the future more than the past. Walls are built when leaders keep repeating what went wrong. Bridges are built when leaders say, "Here is what we can do next." People cannot change the past, but they can act on the future. Words that guide forward action create hope. They make people feel progress is possible. If someone failed, instead of saying "you always fail," a leader can say, "Here is how we can improve next time." That shift in language keeps the person motivated instead of defeated. Leaders must also be careful with labels. Labels create walls that are hard to break. When you call someone lazy, careless, or difficult, you close their willingness to grow. They feel trapped by the label. They feel judged instead of guided. Instead of labels, describe behaviors. Say this action delayed the work, not you are lazy. Say this choice hurt the outcome, not you are careless. When you separate the person from the action, you leave room for improvement. You protect their dignity while still addressing the issue. That is bridge building in action. Words that build bridges also include appreciation. When you acknowledge someone's effort, you strengthen the bond. People who feel appreciated are more willing to listen when correction is needed. They know you see their value, not only their mistakes. Appreciation does not need to be grand. Simple words like "I noticed your effort, thank you for staying late," or "I appreciate how you handled that challenge" can mean a lot. They build trust brick by brick. They remind people that their work and their presence matter. In difficult conversations, bridge-building words can save the moment. When conflict rises, instead of saying "you never listen," a leader can say "I want us both to understand each other better." Instead of saying "this is your fault," a leader can say "we need to figure out how to fix this together." These words change the energy. They replace division with unity. They keep the relationship alive while addressing the problem. Leaders do not avoid hard talks. They simply use words that keep connection even in disagreement. Bridge building also extends to groups. The words you choose in front of a team can either create unity or create division. If you constantly highlight one person's failure in front of others, you create walls of shame. If you highlight the group's strength and invite them to grow together, you create bridges of cooperation. Words like "we," "us," and "together" build a sense of shared purpose. Words like "you" and "them" can divide. Leaders who speak with inclusive language lead stronger teams. When leaders build bridges with words, they also inspire loyalty. People want to stay with leaders who lift them instead of break them. They want to give their best to leaders who use words to guide instead of crush. They feel safe enough to share mistakes because they know they will not be destroyed by harsh words. That safety brings creativity. That safety brings courage. Words build the environment. The environment builds the results. Leaders who master their words master the atmosphere around them. To practice this skill, begin noticing your daily conversations. After you speak, ask yourself, did my words bring us closer or push us apart? Did my words make the other person feel stronger or weaker? Did my words create hope or create doubt? These reflections help you adjust. Over time, you learn to choose words more carefully. You pause before speaking. You guide your tone. You think about impact. That practice builds the habit of bridge building. Soon it becomes natural. People begin to notice that talking with you always feels better, not worse. Building bridges with words does not mean avoiding honesty. It means choosing honesty with care. It means choosing truth with respect. It means choosing correction with dignity. It means remembering that every word has weight. Leaders must carry that weight with responsibility. Each sentence is a chance to connect or divide. Each word is a tool to build or destroy. Leaders who understand this will always choose the path of bridges. They will always see words as instruments of connection. That choice defines their influence. Chapter 7. Give direction with clarity and zero confusion. One of the hardest struggles people face in their work is not the size of the task, but the lack of clear direction. Many teams lose energy not because they lack talent, but because they are unsure of what is expected. People become frustrated when leaders give half instructions, unclear goals, or mixed messages. Confusion is heavy. It slows down progress and drains motivation. A leader's responsibility is to remove that weight. A leader's words must create certainty. People want to know what to do, how to do it, and why it matters. Clear direction gives them that foundation. Think about the times in your own life when instructions were unclear. Maybe you were given a project but no deadline. Maybe you were told to fix something without being told what the problem was. You may have felt lost, nervous, and unsure where to start. That feeling steals confidence. Now think about a time when someone gave you clear steps. You knew exactly what was expected. You could focus fully on doing the work. You felt lighter, more capable, and more confident. That is what clarity does. It frees people to act with energy instead of hesitation. Leaders often make the mistake of assuming people understand more than they do. They rush through directions because it is clear in their own mind. They forget that others do not see the full picture yet. This creates gaps that lead to mistakes. A leader must slow down. They must explain in plain words what needs to happen. They must check that people understand. They must make the vision so clear that no one leaves with doubt. A team that understands clearly will always outperform a team that guesses. Clarity in direction begins with defining the goal. If people do not know the destination, they cannot choose the right path. A leader must say, "This is where we are going." The goal must be specific and visible. Instead of saying we need improvement, say we need to increase sales by 10% this quarter. Instead of saying do your best, say here are the 3 priorities to focus on this week. Specific goals remove guesswork. They show people what success looks like. They turn vague effort into targeted action. After the goal, leaders must give clear steps. Many people freeze when the task feels too large. Clear steps break the large goal into smaller moves. For example, if the goal is to launch a new product, the steps might be complete design by this date, test with users by this date, prepare launch materials by this date. These steps create momentum. They give people something to hold on to. They remove the fear of the unknown. Step by step, the big task becomes achievable. That is how leaders guide people through large challenges without losing them. Deadlines are another part of clarity. Without clear timing, tasks expand endlessly. People delay. They lose focus. Confusion grows. A leader must attach time to direction. Not someday, but by Friday. Not soon, but next month. Time frames create urgency. They make people prioritize. They help people plan their energy. A clear direction always answers not only what to do, but also when to do it. This structure gives people confidence that they are moving in sync. Leaders must also be consistent with their words. Nothing destroys clarity faster than mixed messages. If one day you say one thing and the next day you say the opposite, people lose trust. They stop listening because they do not know which version to believe. Consistency builds certainty. It proves you mean what you say. It shows you are reliable. Leaders must align their words with their vision and repeat them until they become part of the team's rhythm. Clear direction repeated often creates unity. Checking for understanding is another important skill. Many leaders ask, "Do you understand?" and accept a quick yes as proof. But that yes may hide confusion. People often nod to avoid looking slow. Instead, a leader should ask, "What is your first step after this?" Or what part is most clear to you and what part feels unclear? These questions reveal the truth. They show where more clarity is needed. Leaders who check for understanding do not leave their team to guess. They ensure that every person is ready to act with confidence. Clarity is also about language. Complicated words create confusion. Simple words create certainty. If you say optimize or implement, some may not understand. If you say make it better or put it into action, everyone gets it. The best leaders remove jargon. They choose words that anyone can follow. They value understanding over sounding impressive. Clear direction is simple direction. It is language that guides instead of language that confuses. Clarity also means explaining why. People do not work with full energy if they do not understand the reason behind the task. When leaders say just do it, motivation fades. When leaders say here is why this matters, motivation grows. People want to feel part of something meaningful. They want to see how their role fits into the bigger picture. When they know the why, the what and how become easier, clear direction connects the task to the purpose. That connection makes people give their best. Leaders must also avoid overload. Too many directions at once create confusion. People do not know what to focus on. They try to do everything and achieve little. Clear direction prioritizes. It says these three things matter most. It guides attention. It gives people permission to focus on what truly matters. When priorities are clear, energy is not wasted. The team moves with alignment instead of scattered effort. Leaders who simplify directions give their teams a gift of focus. Feedback is another part of clarity. Direction is not complete without follow-up. People need to know if they are on track. They need to hear if adjustments are required. Silence creates doubt. Regular feedback creates certainty. Leaders who give feedback close the loop. They keep their teams confident and aligned. Clear direction is not one conversation. It is ongoing guidance. It is a steady reminder of what matters and how progress is moving. Leaders must also lead by example. If your words say one thing but your actions say another, confusion grows. People watch more than they listen. If you say be on time but arrive late, the direction loses meaning. If you say focus on quality but rush through your own work, the team feels conflicted. Your actions must confirm your words. That unity creates clarity. People follow when they see you living the same direction you give. Consistency between words and actions is the highest form of clarity. When direction is unclear, people make assumptions. Those assumptions rarely match. One person moves this way, another person moves that way. Soon the group is scattered. Work is repeated. Energy is wasted. Morale drops. But when direction is clear, everyone pulls in the same direction. The work becomes smoother. The results become stronger. The atmosphere becomes lighter. This is the power of clarity. It saves time, reduces conflict, and creates progress. Leaders must always protect this clarity. You can begin practicing today by reviewing how you give instructions. Ask yourself, did I make the goal specific? Did I break it into clear steps? Did I give a timeline? Did I use simple words? Did I explain why? Did I confirm understanding? Did I set priorities? Did I give follow-up? These questions help you see where clarity is missing. Every improvement you make increases trust. Every clear direction you give adds to your influence. People will start looking forward to your guidance because they know it removes doubt. Clarity is not about saying more. It is about saying better. It is about removing confusion before it begins. It is about giving people the gift of certainty. Chapter 8. Pause often to let your words carry weight. Most people speak as if silence is their enemy. They rush through their sentences. They pile word upon word, afraid that a gap will make them look weak. But rushing makes your message lose power. People cannot follow. They cannot absorb. They cannot feel. A leader knows that pauses are not emptiness. Pauses are presence. They give space for words to settle. They give the listener time to think. They allow the message to sink in. When you pause, you give weight to your words. You make people pay attention. Think about a time when someone spoke quickly without pause. The words blended together. You may have caught the surface, but you did not feel the depth. You may have nodded politely, but the message was gone within minutes. Now think about someone who spoke with rhythm. They gave a thought, then allowed silence. You had time to reflect. You had time to breathe. Their words stayed with you. You remembered them. You repeated them later. That is the power of pausing. It turns sound into impact. The human mind cannot process endless words at once. It needs space. It needs breaks. If you want your message to last, you must give the listener room to absorb. A pause is not a mistake. A pause is leadership. It tells your audience you value their attention enough to let them think. It tells them you are not afraid of silence. Most people fear silence because it feels like emptiness. But leaders use silence as a tool. They know silence is not empty. It is full of meaning. Pausing also shows control. When pressure is high, people expect leaders to rush. They expect them to speak quickly, to fill the air, to cover the tension. But when a leader pauses, it sends a different signal. It says, I am steady. I am in control. I do not need to rush. That steadiness earns respect. People lean in. They wait for your next word. They feel your presence even more in the silence than in the sound. Pauses are not weakness. Pauses are authority. You can begin to practice pausing in simple ways. After a key sentence, stop for a moment. Let the words land. Notice the faces in the room. Give them space to react. Then continue. At first it may feel uncomfortable. You may feel the urge to fill the gap. Resist it. With practice you will see how powerful the pause becomes. People will not drift during your silence. They will focus more. They will wait for what comes next. They will feel that your words carry weight. Pauses also help you as a speaker. They give you time to think. They give you time to breathe. They calm your nerves. Many people speak too quickly because they are anxious. They fear losing attention. But pausing slows everything down. It gives your body control. It allows your voice to stay steady. It helps your mind stay clear. When you pause, you take control of the moment. The moment no longer controls you. That shift is what separates leaders from ordinary speakers. A pause is also an act of respect. It shows that you care whether the listener understands. It shows that you are not trying to overwhelm them. It shows that you want them to keep up with you. Imagine explaining something complex to your team. If you rush through it, some may pretend to follow, but inside they are lost. If you pause after each main idea, they have time to catch up. They have time to connect. They have time to reflect. Respect in communication is not only in words. It is in the space you give for others to think. Pausing can also highlight importance. When you stop after a key line, you signal this matters. The listener feels it. They repeat it in their mind. They carry it with them. For example, if you say our success depends on trust and then pause, the silence makes the statement echo. It sticks. Without the pause, the line may slip past like any other. With the pause, it becomes unforgettable. Leaders use pauses like punctuation. They turn ordinary lines into lasting lessons. In conflict, pausing is even more powerful. When emotions rise, people rush to defend themselves. Words fly out without thought. That rush creates damage. A leader who pauses before answering keeps control. They allow emotions to cool. They prevent careless words. They show patience. That pause can turn conflict into dialogue. It can stop anger from escalating. It can save relationships. Leaders know that not every silence must be filled. Some silences heal more than words. Timing matters with pauses. Too short and the listener cannot reflect. Too long and it feels awkward. The right pause feels natural. It gives just enough time for thought. The best way to master this is to pay attention to the reaction of your audience. Watch their eyes. When they look like they are still processing, hold the pause a moment longer. When they nod or relax, continue. Communication is not just speaking. It is sensing. Pauses allow you to sense more deeply. You can also use pauses to build anticipation. When you stop before delivering an important point, people lean forward. They wait. Their focus sharpens. The silence pulls them in. Then when you speak, the message lands with force. People remember not only the words but the feeling of waiting for them. This makes your delivery stronger. Pauses are not absence. They are a tool of presence. They give shape to your words. They turn speech into rhythm. Another benefit of pausing is that it slows down the pace of the entire conversation. In today's world, everything feels rushed. People are overloaded with information. They rarely get time to reflect. When you pause, you create a rare space. People notice it. They value it. They feel calmer. They feel clearer. That makes your message stand out even more. While others rush, you slow down. While others flood with words, you give silence. That difference makes you memorable. To practice pausing, you can start by reading something out loud and stopping after each key phrase. Notice how it feels. Notice how the words sound stronger with the pause. Record yourself and listen. You will hear the difference. Then try it in conversation. Share a thought, then wait. Resist the urge to fill the gap. Let the silence do its work. Over time, you will become comfortable with pauses. They will no longer feel empty. They will feel powerful. Leaders who pause also inspire confidence in their teams. When your tone is calm and your pace includes pauses, people believe you are thoughtful. They trust that your words are considered. They feel you are not reacting but responding. They feel your guidance is grounded. This builds long-term trust. People want to follow leaders whose words have weight. They want to follow leaders who do not rush. They want to follow leaders who give space for thinking. Words without pauses are like waves without rhythm. They crash without pattern. They pass without impact. But words with pauses move with power. They touch the listener. They stay in memory. They guide action. Pausing often is not about speaking less. It is about speaking better. It is about letting your words breathe. It is about giving meaning to every thought. Leaders who pause often become leaders whose words last. Chapter 9. Listen deeply so your answers feel powerful. Most people listen only to reply. They hear a few words, then their mind races ahead to form a response. They interrupt before the other person finishes. They nod while thinking of their own story. This kind of listening makes people feel invisible. It makes them feel that their words do not matter. Leaders cannot afford to do this. Leaders must learn to listen deeply. Deep listening is when you give someone your full attention. You let them finish. You notice their tone. You see their body language. You sense what they mean beyond the words. When you listen this way, your answers carry power because they come from understanding, not from assumption. Think about the times when someone really listened to you. They did not rush you. They did not look at their phone. They did not cut you off. They let you speak until you felt complete. You probably felt lighter. You felt respected. You felt valued. That moment made you trust them more. Now think about the times when someone only half listened. They looked distracted. They gave quick answers without hearing you fully. You likely felt disappointed. You likely stopped sharing. That is the difference between shallow listening and deep listening. Deep listening begins with presence. You must be fully there in the moment. You cannot listen deeply while multitasking. You cannot listen deeply while thinking of what you will say next. You must clear your mind and focus completely on the other person. Look at them. Notice their eyes. Notice their expression. Notice their tone. Many times the real message is not in the words but in the pauses, in the sighs, in the way their voice changes. A leader who listens deeply catches these signals. That awareness shapes answers that feel powerful and real. When you listen deeply, you make the other person feel safe. People open up when they feel heard. They share more when they sense your genuine interest. This creates trust. Trust makes relationships stronger. Trust makes teams more united. Leaders who listen deeply build trust faster than those who only talk. Listening is not passive. It is active. It takes effort. It takes patience. It takes care. But the reward is worth it. People who feel heard will follow your guidance with more belief. Deep listening also prevents mistakes. When leaders assume instead of listening, they often give wrong answers. They speak too soon and miss the real issue. For example, someone may complain about workload, but if you listen deeply, you may hear that the real issue is not time, but lack of support. If you rush to answer without listening, you may give advice that solves nothing. But if you listen until the full story emerges, your answer will address the true problem. That makes your response powerful. It shows wisdom. It shows care. Listening deeply also changes the way you ask questions. When you truly hear someone, you can ask follow-up questions that go deeper. You can say, "Tell me more about how that felt." Or, "What was hardest about that for you?" These questions show you were paying attention. They show you are interested in their experience. They help the person reflect more. They help you understand more. And the more you understand, the more powerful your answers become. Many leaders fear silence in conversation. They rush to fill it. But silence is part of deep listening. When someone finishes speaking, do not jump in right away. Wait a moment. That pause gives them space to add more. Often the most important truth comes after the pause. If you cut them off too quickly, you miss it. Leaders who listen deeply respect silence. They know it often reveals the most valuable insights. They know silence allows the other person to feel safe to continue. Another key to deep listening is empathy. You must try to feel what the other person feels. Put yourself in their place. Sense their frustration. Sense their excitement. Sense their fear. This does not mean you must agree with everything. It means you care enough to understand. Answers given from empathy touch the heart. They feel personal. They feel genuine. They carry power because they connect to emotion, not just logic. Leaders who listen with empathy guide not only minds, but also hearts. Deep listening also strengthens decision-making. Leaders must often make choices that affect many people. If you listen deeply before deciding, you gather more perspective. You understand the impact more clearly. You see the unseen factors. You make wiser choices. People respect leaders who listen before deciding. They feel included in the process. They trust the outcome more because they know their voice was heard. Listening makes leadership decisions not only smarter but also fairer. Practice deep listening by removing distractions. When someone speaks to you, put away the phone. Turn off the screen. Face them fully. Show with your body that they have your attention. Nod when you understand. Ask them to continue. Repeat back some of what they said to confirm you heard correctly. These simple actions show care. They make the other person feel valued. They make your answers more accurate because they come from real understanding. Deep listening also means listening without judgment. Many people stop listening because they are busy judging the speaker. They think, "I agree, I disagree, I like this, I dislike this." True listening suspends judgment. It lets the person express fully before forming an opinion. Leaders who judge too quickly close doors. Leaders who listen with openness keep doors open. They allow ideas to come forward. They allow growth to happen. Answers from non-judgmental listening feel more balanced and thoughtful. Your voice becomes more powerful when it follows deep listening because people feel the difference. They feel that your answer is tailored to them, not just a standard response. They feel that your words are grounded in their reality, not just in your perspective. This makes them trust your guidance. It makes them follow your advice. It makes them believe you are leading with care. Listening gives weight to your speaking. Without listening, your words are hollow. Deep listening also inspires loyalty. People remember leaders who made them feel heard. They remember leaders who did not interrupt. They remember leaders who gave time for their thoughts. That memory builds loyalty stronger than speeches. It builds commitment stronger than commands. People want to stay with leaders who listen. They want to give their best to leaders who value their voice. Listening is not just a skill. It is a way to build lasting influence. In stressful times, listening deeply is even more important. When people are upset, they need to express themselves fully. If you cut them off, the frustration grows. If you listen fully, the tension drops. Sometimes they do not even need an answer right away. Sometimes being heard is the solution itself. Leaders who listen deeply in stressful times create calm. They create clarity. They create trust. That trust makes every answer more powerful because it comes after true understanding. Leaders must practice deep listening every day, not just in formal meetings. Listen to the person in the hallway. Listen to the person at lunch. Listen to the person who usually stays quiet. Every voice matters. Every perspective adds value. When you listen, you discover things you would not know otherwise. You gain insight. You gain awareness. You gain connection. All of these make your leadership stronger. Listening deeply is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires patience. It requires care. But leaders who master it stand apart. They speak less, but their words carry more power. They answer fewer questions, but their answers create more impact. They do not need to impress with volume because they impress with depth. Their power comes not only from what Chapter 10. Express vision in a way that excites hearts. Every person wants to feel that their work and their life mean something greater. Yet too often leaders talk about goals in dry numbers and lifeless charts. They speak of targets and deadlines without speaking of dreams. They present the plan, but they forget the passion. People do not wake up in the morning for numbers alone. They wake up for meaning. They wake up for hope. They wake up for the chance to be part of something bigger than themselves. A leader's vision is not only strategy. A leader's vision must touch hearts. When vision excites the heart, people will move mountains to reach it. Think back to times when you heard someone speak about the future. Some painted a picture so clear and inspiring that you felt alive just listening. You could see it. You could feel it. You wanted to be part of it. Then recall times when leaders spoke in a dull way. You heard the words, but nothing stirred inside you. You forgot the message the next day. This is the difference between vision that excites and vision that drains. Leaders must learn to express vision so people not only understand it, but also feel it deeply. The first step is to make vision personal. If you speak only of the company, the numbers, or the process, people feel distant. They cannot find themselves in it. But when you connect the vision to their lives, it changes. Tell them how the future will improve their work. Tell them how it will grow their opportunities. Tell them how it will give meaning to their efforts. When people see their role in the vision, they care more. They realize they are not just workers. They are builders of the future. That realization excites the heart. Clarity is also essential. A vision that is vague cannot inspire. People need to see it like a picture in their minds. Instead of saying we will be the best, describe what the best looks like. Describe the feeling of walking into a workplace full of energy. Describe the pride of delivering products that change lives. Describe the joy of achieving goals together. Paint details they can touch with their imagination. The clearer the vision, the stronger the emotion. People cannot get excited about something they cannot see. Vision must also be expressed with passion. Your tone matters as much as your words. If you sound bored, they will feel bored. If you sound doubtful, they will feel doubtful. But if you speak with genuine excitement, they will feel your energy. Emotion is contagious. When your eyes light up, theirs will too. When your voice carries conviction, their belief grows. Vision is not just delivered. Vision is felt. And people feel what you feel more than they hear what you say. Another part of expressing vision is to connect it to values. People want to know that the future you are describing matches what matters most. If your team values growth, show how the vision creates growth. If they value service, show how the vision expands service. If they value teamwork, show how the vision strengthens unity. Vision that aligns with values becomes powerful because it feels authentic. It feels like a natural extension of who they are. People give their hearts to visions that reflect their values. Leaders must also repeat the vision often. Excitement fades if the message is heard only once. People need to be reminded again and again. Each time you repeat it, the vision grows stronger in their minds. Use stories. Use examples. Use simple phrases they can remember. Make the vision part of the daily language. Let people hear it in meetings, in conversations, and in recognition. Repetition does not make vision boring. Repetition makes vision real. It keeps the flame alive until the future becomes the present. Another way to excite hearts with vision is to show progress along the way. A vision that feels too far away can feel unreachable. Break it into milestones. Celebrate each step forward. Remind people that the big dream is being built day by day. When they see progress, their belief strengthens. They feel that their effort matters. They see the connection between their work and the future. Progress makes the vision tangible. Tangible vision excites the heart because it feels possible. Leaders must also invite ownership. If you present the vision as only yours, people may admire it but not commit to it. If you invite them to shape it, they will embrace it. Ask them what part excites them most. Ask them what ideas they see for reaching it. Ask them what role they want to play. When they feel their fingerprints on the vision, they give more of their energy. They protect it. They nurture it. It becomes not just your vision but their vision. Shared vision excites hearts more than imposed vision. Vision must also carry hope. People face struggles every day. They deal with challenges, disappointments, and setbacks. If your vision does not lift them above those struggles, it will not last. Speak of what can be achieved despite the difficulties. Speak of how tomorrow can be better than today. Speak of the strength they already have to overcome. Hope is fuel for the human spirit. When you add hope to vision, you give people energy to keep going when times are hard. That hope excites the heart and keeps it strong. To express vision well, leaders must also be honest about the challenges. Excitement does not come from pretending the road is easy. Excitement comes from knowing the journey is tough but worth it. Be clear about the effort required. Acknowledge the obstacles. Then show how the vision is greater than the struggle. People respect honesty. They follow leaders who admit reality but still point to a brighter future. That balance between truth and hope makes the vision believable. Believable vision excites because it feels real. Leaders should also use language that is inclusive. Vision should sound like we, not I. It should sound like us, not you. Inclusive words build unity. They make people feel part of the mission. They make them feel important. They remind them that no one is left behind. When vision is expressed as a shared journey, hearts respond. People want to belong. They want to be part of something larger. Inclusive vision gives them that sense of belonging. That belonging excites the heart. Practice expressing vision by speaking it out loud. Notice if your words create images. Notice if they stir emotion. Notice if they sound real. Ask others how your vision makes them feel. Adjust until your message is both clear and inspiring. The goal is not only for people to understand your vision, but for them to feel moved by it. Words that touch the mind create knowledge. Words that touch the heart create action. Leaders must touch both. Great leaders are remembered not only for what they achieved, but for how they made people believe. They painted visions that were so alive that others could not resist joining. They made people feel part of something special. They expressed the future in ways that stirred emotion and sparked commitment. This is what every leader can learn to do. To express vision in a way that excites hearts is to give people more than direction. It is to give them purpose, energy, and belief in what they can become together. Chapter 11. Use eye contact to reinforce trust and authority. Many people feel nervous when others look directly at them. Their eyes wander. They look at the floor, the ceiling, or their notes. They miss the power of eye contact. Without it, your words lose strength. Without it, your presence feels weak. Leaders know that trust is not built only through what you say, but also through how you look at others when you say it. Eye contact is not about staring. Eye contact is about connection. It tells people you are with them. It tells them you believe what you are saying. It tells them you are confident enough to meet their gaze. Think about times when someone avoided your eyes in a conversation. Maybe they looked around the room or down at their phone. You probably felt ignored. You may have doubted their honesty. Now think about a moment when someone looked at you directly while speaking. You likely felt included. You felt they cared. You trusted them more. That is the difference eye contact makes. It is not a small detail. It is one of the most powerful signals in communication. Leaders must master it. Eye contact reinforces trust because it shows honesty. People believe your eyes more than your words. If your words say one thing but your eyes run away, they doubt you. But if your eyes stay steady, they believe you. Your eyes show confidence. They show openness. They show you are hiding nothing. In a world where trust is fragile, eye contact becomes a leader's greatest tool. When you look at people while speaking, you prove you are present, honest, and real. Eye contact also strengthens authority. Leaders must show they are certain. They must show they are not afraid. A steady gaze communicates this without a word. It shows you are not intimidated. It shows you stand by your message. It shows you are worthy of attention. Authority is not only in the title, authority is in presence, and presence is carried through the eyes. When people see a leader with steady eye contact, they sense strength. They sense direction. They sense control. Leaders must learn balance in eye contact. Too little and you appear nervous. Too much and you appear aggressive. The goal is natural connection. Look long enough to show you are present. Break away gently and return. This rhythm feels respectful and steady. It shows confidence without dominance. Practice by holding eye contact a little longer than feels comfortable. Over time it becomes natural. The longer you practice, the more powerful your presence becomes. Eye contact also creates connection in groups. When speaking to a team, move your eyes across the room. Do not fix on one person. Include everyone with your gaze. People feel invisible when a leader never looks at them. But when your eyes meet theirs, even for a moment, they feel included. They feel seen. They feel part of the vision. This builds unity. It makes every person feel important. A leader who uses eye contact across the room leads not just with words, but with presence. Eye contact must also be paired with warmth. A cold stare builds fear. A warm gaze builds trust. Let your eyes show care. Let them show kindness. People can feel the difference. They can tell when your eyes are hard and when they are open. A leader must bring firmness and warmth together. Firmness shows authority. Warmth shows humanity. The combination makes you trustworthy. Without warmth, authority feels harsh. Without firmness, warmth feels weak. Together they create balance. In difficult conversations, eye contact is even more important. When you correct someone, do not look away. If you avoid their eyes, they feel shame without guidance. But if you hold steady and calm eye contact, they feel respect. They feel you are with them, not against them. This makes feedback constructive instead of destructive. It allows trust to survive even when the message is hard. Leaders who master this keep relationships strong in tough moments. Eye contact also plays a role in listening. When someone speaks, look at them. Do not stare off as if you are waiting for your turn. Do not glance around as if you are bored. Look directly at them. Nod to show you are following. Let your eyes say, "I hear you." This makes the speaker feel valued. It makes them share more openly. Listening with your eyes builds trust as much as speaking with your eyes. Leaders must practice both. Another benefit of eye contact is confidence in yourself. When you look directly at others, you remind yourself that you belong in the moment. You silence your self-doubt. You show your own mind that you are steady. This changes how you speak. Your voice becomes stronger. Your body becomes calmer. Confidence grows not only in the eyes of others but inside yourself. Eye contact is not just for them. It is also for you. It roots you in the moment. Practice eye contact in everyday situations. When you greet someone, look at their eyes and hold it as you say hello. When you thank someone, look at their eyes as you say it. When you share an idea, look at the person you are speaking to. These small steps build comfort. Over time, steady eye contact becomes natural. You no longer think about it. It becomes part of how you lead. That natural steadiness transforms the way people see you. Leaders who use eye contact well create loyalty. People remember how you made them feel when you looked at them directly. They remember feeling valued. They remember feeling respected. They remember feeling trust. These memories last longer than speeches. They shape how people respond to you in the future. A leader who makes eye contact creates bonds that are stronger than position or title. People follow leaders they trust. Eye contact builds that trust daily. Authority without trust fails. Trust without authority weakens. Eye contact builds both at the same time. It makes your words believable. It makes your presence strong. It makes people feel secure. Leaders must never overlook this simple but powerful tool. Your eyes are not just for seeing. They are for leading. When you master eye contact, you master one of the most direct ways to influence others. Chapter 12. Replace filler words with purposeful silence and pause. Everyone has heard a speaker fill their talk with words like, or like. At first it seems small, but as the words keep repeating, the listener begins to feel restless. The message loses strength. The speaker sounds unsure even if they know their subject. Filler words weaken trust. They create distraction. They make people pay more attention to the noise than the message. Leaders cannot afford this. Leaders must learn to replace filler words with silence. Silence is stronger than meaningless sounds. Silence gives weight to your message. Silence shows you are in control of yourself and your thoughts. Think about how you feel when someone speaks with constant fillers. You may start counting them in your head. You may start drifting away. You lose focus not because the subject is unimportant, but because the delivery feels messy. Now think of someone who speaks with clarity. They pause when needed. They use silence instead of filling space. Their words feel sharp and direct. You stay engaged. You trust them more. That difference is not in knowledge but in control of speech. Purposeful silence is what separates average speakers from leaders. Filler words often appear because people fear silence. They think every moment must be filled with sound. They rush to cover even a second of quiet. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is a tool. It allows people to reflect. It allows words to land. It creates rhythm. Leaders must embrace silence. They must see it as part of their communication, not as a gap to avoid. A pause in the right place is far stronger than a string of fillers. The pause carries meaning. The fillers carry nothing. Another reason filler words appear is nervousness. When people are anxious, their mind races faster than their mouth. They use filler words to buy time. They say while searching for the next thought. They say to fill space while remembering. Leaders must train themselves to slow down. When you slow down, you gain control. Instead of filling with noise, you pause. Instead of sounding rushed, you sound thoughtful. The listener sees calmness in your pauses. They feel confidence in your steadiness. Pauses also make you sound more certain. When you stop instead of using fillers, it shows you are comfortable with silence. It shows you are deliberate. It shows you believe your words matter enough to give them space. People respect that. They lean in during the pause. They repeat your words in their mind. They wait for your next sentence with attention. Fillers make you sound unsure. Silence makes you sound confident. The difference is clear to every listener. Leaders must also understand that silence highlights key points. If you say something important and then pause, people feel its weight. They remember it. They know it matters. But if you rush into the next filler or sentence, the point is lost. Silence gives importance. It tells people, listen carefully, this is worth remembering. Filler words steal that importance. They blur the message. Purposeful silence sharpens it. You can begin practicing by recording yourself speaking. Notice how many times you say fillers. Notice when they appear. Often they come at the start of sentences or between thoughts. Mark those places. Next time, replace them with silence. It may feel uncomfortable at first. You may feel exposed, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon you will see that silence does not weaken you. Silence strengthens you. It makes your words more powerful. Leaders must also train their breathing. Many fillers appear because people do not breathe deeply. Their breath is short, so they use fillers to catch up. Learn to pause and breathe. Take a slow breath before speaking. Take another when you pause. The breath keeps you calm. The calm keeps you clear. Clear breathing means fewer fillers. Clear breathing means more purposeful pauses. Your voice sounds smoother. Your presence feels stronger. Replacing fillers with silence also helps the listener. They need time to absorb your words. If you rush, they cannot keep up. If you pause, they process. They connect with your message. They reflect. Silence is not for you alone. Silence is for them too. It gives them space to feel your message. It shows respect for their attention. Leaders who give silence invite reflection. Leaders who fill with noise block reflection. In conversation, replacing fillers with silence makes you a better listener. Instead of saying "uh-huh" or "yeah" constantly, stay silent and nod. Let the person finish. Use silence to hold the space for them. They will feel more respected. They will share more deeply. Your answers will be stronger because you heard more clearly. Silence makes listening real. Fillers interrupt it. Leaders know that silence can say more than words. Another benefit of removing fillers is credibility. When you speak with few fillers, people see you as more knowledgeable. They believe you more. They respect your professionalism. Filler words can make even good ideas sound weak. Clear speech without fillers makes even simple ideas sound strong. People judge not only the content but also the delivery. Leaders must guard both. Every word matters. Every pause matters. Every filler hurts. You can practice in daily conversations. When you feel a filler coming, stop. Allow the silence. Take a breath. Then continue. At first, people may notice the pause, but soon they will feel its strength. They will respect it. They will hear your words more clearly. The habit of fillers will fade. The habit of silence will grow. With time, you will speak with steady rhythm. Your pauses will feel natural. Your presence will feel strong. Silence also creates authority in groups. When you pause, the room becomes quiet. People wait. They know you are in control. They know you will continue when ready. That control builds respect. It shows leadership. It shows confidence. Fillers do the opposite. They make you look nervous. They make you look unprepared. Purposeful silence makes you look in command. It shows you know the power of timing. Leaders who replace fillers with silence also build influence over time. People remember their words more. People quote them more. People trust them more. Their speech feels clean and strong. It feels deliberate and thoughtful. It carries weight. Others listen with care. That influence grows because people know the leader respects their time with clear words. Leaders who master silence master impact. Removing fillers is not about being perfect. It is about being purposeful. It is about respecting your message and your listener. It is about choosing silence over noise. It is about letting your words carry weight without distraction. Leaders must practice this every day. In small talks, in big speeches, in meetings, in one-on-one conversations. The habit of purposeful silence will shape the way people see you. It will make your presence more powerful. It will make your leadership more respected. Chapter 13. Speak less but deliver words that move mountains. Most people believe that influence comes from saying a lot. They think if they keep talking, they will sound smarter, stronger, and more persuasive. But often the opposite happens. The more they talk, the less people listen. Their message gets buried in extra words. Their audience grows tired. Leaders know better. Leaders understand that power is not in the length of speech, but in the strength of chosen words. Speaking less while delivering words that carry weight is what sets leaders apart. Think about the people you have admired most in conversation. They did not fill the air with endless talk. They said just enough to make you stop and think. Their sentences were simple, clear, and sharp. You remembered their words long after they stopped speaking. Now think about someone who talks endlessly without pause. You may nod out of politeness, but inside you are counting the seconds. Their message fades because it is lost in the noise. Speaking less is not weakness. It is wisdom. When you speak less, every word matters more. People lean in because they know you will not waste their time. They know that when you open your mouth, something meaningful is coming. This creates anticipation. It builds respect. It makes people value your words. Leaders who talk less are not silent because they lack ideas. They are silent because they are listening, observing, and choosing carefully. Then when they speak, their message lands like a hammer. It carries authority. It carries weight. Speaking less also makes room for others. Leadership is not only about your voice. It is about drawing out the voices of those around you. When you hold back from constant talking, you give others the chance to share. They feel valued. They feel seen. You gain insight you would not have if you dominated the conversation. Then, when you respond, you can tie your words to what they shared. That makes your message even stronger because it connects with their reality. Speaking less builds stronger connection. Another benefit is clarity. The fewer words you use, the less chance of confusion. When you trim away the extras, your message stands tall. People do not have to guess what you mean. They do not have to filter through endless detail. They hear it clearly. They understand it quickly. They remember it easily. Leaders must master the skill of trimming. Every extra word weakens the impact. Every chosen word strengthens it. Speaking less sharpens your message. You must also remember that silence adds power to your words. When you pause before speaking, people prepare to listen. When you pause after speaking, people reflect on what you said. The silence frames your message. It gives it space to breathe. Talking without pause makes your words blur together. Speaking less with pauses makes each word stand out. Silence is not empty. Silence is emphasis. Leaders who know this use silence as part of their speech. Speaking less requires self-control. Many people talk too much out of nervousness. They fill space because silence feels uncomfortable. But leaders train themselves to resist that urge. They learn to let silence stand. They learn to choose only what matters. This discipline shows strength. It shows you are not desperate to be heard. It shows you are confident enough to let your words speak for themselves. Control in speech is control in leadership. Great leaders are remembered for short lines that carry deep meaning. People recall them years later because they were simple, clear, and direct. No one remembers long speeches filled with extra words. They remember the one sentence that hit the heart. That is the standard leaders must aim for. Speak less. Say more. Choose words that live in the mind long after the moment. Your goal is not to impress with quantity, but to influence with quality. To practice, start by noticing how much you speak in conversations. Do you dominate the time? Do you repeat yourself? Do you add words that add nothing? Begin trimming. Say what matters, then stop. Watch how people respond. Notice how they listen more closely. Notice how they remember your words. Speaking less takes practice, but the reward is greater impact. The less you say, the more people value what you say. Speaking less also builds mystery. When you do not reveal everything at once, people stay curious. They want to hear more. They wait for your next words. This curiosity keeps attention alive. Endless talking kills curiosity. Speaking less feeds it. Leaders use this wisely. They give just enough to inspire thought, then let people reflect. They trust that the silence will do its work. They know that the listener's mind will carry the message further. Another part of speaking less is precision. Choose words that are strong and specific. Avoid vague terms. Avoid clutter. Instead of saying many things, say the right thing. Instead of a long explanation, give a clear statement. Precision makes people believe you know what you are saying. It makes you look prepared and confident. It makes your message powerful. Speaking less forces you to be precise. Precision builds authority. Speaking less also teaches patience. Leaders who talk less listen more. They gather more information. They see the full picture. Then they speak with wisdom. Quick talkers often regret their words. Careful speakers rarely do. When you pause, listen, and choose, your words carry truth. They land better. They lead better. Speaking less is patience in action. Patience is leadership in action. Use this principle in every setting. In meetings, speak only when you add value. In conversations, listen more than you speak. In speeches, cut every word that is not needed. In conflict, choose calm statements instead of endless arguments. Each time you speak less, you save energy. You save time. You strengthen your message. Leaders conserve their words the way they conserve energy. They use them wisely, not endlessly. People admire leaders who can say one line and move hearts. They admire leaders who can use silence as much as speech. They admire leaders who never waste their attention. When you speak less but deliver words that move mountains, you create followers who remember, respect, and repeat your message. You do not need to shout. You do not need to talk endlessly. You need only to speak with purpose, with clarity, and with control. That is the mark of a true leader. Chapter 14. Address people by name to make them valued. One of the deepest struggles people face in life is the feeling of being invisible. Many go through days at work or in their personal lives without anyone noticing them in a meaningful way. They do the work, they show up, but they feel like a small piece in a large system. A leader has the power to change this instantly with one simple act, using a person's name. A name is not just a label. A name is identity. A name is recognition. When you address someone by name, you tell them they are not just another face. You tell them they matter. You tell them they are seen. Think about your own experiences. Remember the time when someone you respected remembered your name. It probably gave you a spark inside. You felt noticed. You felt special. That small gesture lifted your spirit. Now think about times when you were ignored or called something general like, "Hey you," or "buddy." It felt cold. It felt distant. You may not have shown it, but inside you knew the difference. That is the quiet power of names. They make people feel valued in a way no title or position can replace. Leaders who make the habit of using names build stronger trust. When you call someone by name, you show personal attention. You prove you are not just speaking to a group but to a person. This makes people more willing to listen. They feel you are talking with them, not at them. They feel like they belong. Belonging inspires loyalty. People follow leaders who make them feel included. Names are the first step in creating that connection. Using names also builds respect. When you remember someone's name, it shows effort. It shows you care enough to pay attention. People often think respect comes only from big acts, but small acts like this are the foundation. Forgetting or ignoring a name may seem small, but it sends a message of disinterest. Remembering and using a name sends the message of respect. Leaders who respect their people earn respect in return. That mutual respect creates stronger relationships. Leaders must also know that names carry emotion. For many, their name holds family history, culture, and personal pride. Misusing or avoiding it can create distance. Taking the time to learn and pronounce it correctly shows sensitivity. It shows care. It shows willingness to value what is important to them. These details build trust quickly. They create the feeling that you are not only leading tasks, but also leading people as human beings. Names also make communication more powerful. Imagine giving feedback. If you say, "You need to work on this," it feels cold. But if you say, "Sarah, I believe you can improve this," it feels supportive. The name softens the message. It adds humanity. It makes the person more open to hearing it. The same is true in praise. Saying, "Good job," is fine. But saying, "Michael, good job on that project," makes the praise personal. It makes the person feel proud. The name turns words into a gift. In groups, using names creates inclusivity. During meetings, when a leader says, "Emily, what are your thoughts?" it shows value for her input. Others notice it too. They see that individuals are recognized. They feel the culture is personal, not mechanical. A leader who uses names in groups encourages everyone to contribute. It tells the room, every person matters here. That culture inspires higher engagement and stronger teamwork. Practice is important in this skill. Some leaders excuse themselves by saying they are bad with names. But this is not an excuse for true leaders. Learn names. Write them down. Repeat them in conversation. Use them often. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. People notice when you make the effort. Even if you stumble at first, they appreciate that you try. It shows sincerity. It shows commitment. It shows leadership. Names also build trust in moments of conflict. When emotions rise, addressing someone by name calms the situation. It shows respect even in disagreement. Saying, "John, I hear your concern," is different from just saying, "I hear your concern." The name personalizes it. It lowers defenses. It makes the conversation more human. Leaders who use names wisely can navigate conflict without breaking relationships. They keep trust alive even in hard moments. Names are powerful in recognition. Public praise feels stronger when names are used. Saying, "Great work, team," is good. But saying, "Great work, team," and "Thank you, David, for leading the effort," is even better. People feel proud when their name is tied to recognition. It encourages them to give more. It also shows others that their efforts may be noticed next. This builds a culture of appreciation. Leaders who use names in recognition inspire greater commitment from everyone. Using names also creates connection across levels. Leaders sometimes feel distant from people at the bottom of the hierarchy. But when a leader remembers and uses names across all levels, it breaks that barrier. It tells everyone they are equally important. It tells them their contribution matters. This builds unity across the organization. It removes distance between positions. It makes leadership feel accessible. People want to follow leaders who treat everyone with the same respect. Even outside formal settings, names matter. Greeting someone in the hallway with their name creates warmth. Thanking someone by name creates sincerity. Introducing someone by name shows value. These small actions add up over time. They create an atmosphere where people feel noticed and respected. Leaders who use names consistently create stronger bonds. Those bonds make the work environment more positive and productive. Remember that names are not just for work. They matter in personal growth too. When a mentor uses your name, it makes the lesson personal. When a friend uses your name in encouragement, it feels closer. When a coach shouts your name in support, it gives you energy. The same is true in leadership. Names are fuel for human spirit. They make people feel alive. Leaders who understand this will always have stronger influence. The habit of using names must be sincere. If you use a name only to manipulate, people will feel it. Sincerity matters. Say the name with respect. Say it with care. Say it as if the person matters, not as if it is a trick. When sincerity is present, people respond warmly. When sincerity is missing, they feel it immediately. Leaders must use names not as a tactic, but as a truth. They must truly value people, and the name becomes proof of that value. When you address people by name, you do more than speak. You affirm their existence. You remind them that they are not invisible. You remind them that they are part of something. You remind them that they are important. Leaders must never forget this power. A simple word, spoken with care, can change the way someone feels about themselves. It can change the way they feel about their work. It can change the way they feel about you as a leader. Names are not small. Names are powerful, and leaders who use them well inspire trust, respect, and loyalty that lasts. Chapter 15. Encourage with phrases that spark hope and energy. Every person carries private battles inside them. Some face heavy doubts. Some feel tired from endless work. Some question if they have what it takes to keep going. Leaders often meet people in these moments of low energy. A careless word can make them weaker, but the right phrase can lift them higher. Encouragement is not empty talk. Encouragement is fuel. It sparks hope. It restores energy. It reminds people of their strength when they forget it themselves. Leaders must learn to speak phrases that give courage back to those who need it most. Think about a time when someone encouraged you. Maybe it was just a few words, but it lit something inside. You felt seen. You felt believed in. You felt stronger. That moment gave you the courage to take the next step. Now remember a time when you needed encouragement but heard nothing. The silence felt heavy. The absence of support made your doubt grow. This is the difference encouragement makes. It can be the spark that turns hesitation into action. It can be the breath that turns weakness into strength. Encouragement must be specific. Saying good job is fine, but it fades quickly. Saying good job on how you handled that tough client carries more power. It tells the person you noticed their effort. It tells them you value the detail of their work. Specific encouragement feels real. General encouragement feels shallow. People know the difference. Leaders who give specific words spark deeper energy because people believe the praise is genuine. They feel the leader truly sees them. Encouragement must also be timely. If someone is discouraged today, telling them next week is too late. Leaders must notice the moment when spirits drop. They must speak quickly to lift them. For example, after a hard meeting, saying, "I know that was tough, but I admire how you stayed calm," can change the way a person feels. Waiting too long loses the chance. Hope must be sparked while the doubt is still fresh. The right words in the right moment can shift the entire mood. Encouragement also means reminding people of their potential. Often people focus only on their mistakes. They forget their strengths. A leader's words must point them back to what they can do. Saying, "I trust your ability to solve this," or "you have the skills to figure this out," gives them belief. It shifts their focus from failure to possibility. People rise to the level of belief they feel around them. If they feel no belief, they sink. If they feel strong belief, they grow. Leaders create this belief with words that inspire confidence. Another way to spark energy is to use phrases that show partnership. Instead of saying, "You need to fix this," say, "We will work through this together." Instead of saying, "It is your problem," say, "Let's find the answer." These small shifts change how people feel. Alone, they feel weak. Together, they feel strong. A leader's words can turn isolation into teamwork, and teamwork creates energy. Leaders must always remember that their language shapes how people see the journey. Encouragement is not only for praise. It is also for challenge. Sometimes people need to hear, "I know this is hard, but I believe you can handle it." That kind of encouragement acknowledges the struggle while still pointing to strength. Ignoring the difficulty makes your words sound fake. Admitting it but adding hope makes your words real. People respect leaders who see the truth but still believe in possibility. That balance sparks energy that feels both honest and inspiring. Encouragement must also be personal. Using someone's name makes the phrase stronger. "Lisa, I appreciate your focus today," feels more powerful than "Good job, everyone." The name makes it personal. It makes the person feel valued. It turns encouragement into a direct gift. Leaders who add names to their encouragement multiply its effect. The person feels not only recognized but also respected. That respect turns into renewed effort and loyalty. Leaders can also encourage by painting the future. Words like, "Imagine how proud you will feel when this is done," or "Think of the progress we will celebrate," bring hope forward. People need to see beyond the struggle. They need to feel that their effort will lead to something worth it. Leaders who use encouragement to create vision give people energy to keep pushing. They remind them of what lies ahead, not just the difficulty of the present. Encouragement also requires consistency. One phrase once in a while is not enough. People need regular reminders that they are valued and capable. Leaders who encourage consistently build a culture of energy. People feel safe. They feel motivated. They feel like their work matters. A culture without encouragement becomes heavy and cold. A culture with encouragement becomes alive and driven. Leaders set this culture with their daily words. It is also important to balance encouragement with authenticity. Empty words destroy trust. If you encourage when you do not mean it, people will know. They will feel it. True encouragement requires honesty. Notice real effort. Praise real progress. Believe in real potential. Authentic words spark hope because they are trusted. Fake words kill hope because they feel manipulative. Leaders must never forget that people can sense the difference. Encouragement can be practiced in every setting. In one-on-one talks, tell people you value their effort. In team meetings, highlight progress. In emails, add a line of appreciation. In hard conversations, add a phrase of hope. These small habits add up. Over time, they create an atmosphere where people feel supported. They create a place where energy flows instead of drains. Leaders who practice daily encouragement become leaders people want to follow. Encouragement is also a way of giving people back to themselves. Often, they forget their own strength. A leader's words remind them, "You handled bigger challenges before. You are more prepared than you think. You have what it takes." These phrases act like mirrors. They show people the strength inside them. Once they see it, they rise. Encouragement is not about giving false hope. It is about reminding people of the truth they already carry. Leaders must also encourage effort, not only results. If you only encourage outcomes, people feel pressure. If you encourage effort, people feel valued, even in the process. Saying, "I appreciate the dedication you showed," is just as important as saying, "Great job on hitting the target." This kind of encouragement keeps energy alive, even during setbacks. People know they are valued for trying, not only for winning. That hope keeps them moving forward. In times of crisis, encouragement becomes even more powerful. When fear spreads, people need words that steady them. They need to hear, "We will get through this together." They need to hear, "Stay steady, brighter days are coming." These phrases calm the storm inside. They restore focus. They create courage. Leaders who speak hope in crisis create stability. They turn fear into faith in progress. That is how encouragement can carry people through the hardest moments. The words of a leader echo far beyond the moment. A short phrase of encouragement can stay in someone's memory for years. They may repeat it to themselves when facing future struggles. They may pass it on to others. Words that spark hope and energy spread like light. They multiply. Leaders must never underestimate the reach of their encouragement. A phrase spoken today can move hearts tomorrow and beyond. Chapter 16. Match your words with body language of certainty. One of the greatest struggles people face in communication is when they feel a gap between what is said and what is shown. They hear confidence in the words, but they see doubt in the posture. They hear energy in the voice, but they see nervousness in the eyes. That gap creates mistrust. People begin to question the message because the body language does not support it. A leader must understand that words alone are never enough. People listen with their ears, but they believe with their eyes. Your words must match your body language if you want to carry certainty and authority. Think about times when someone told you they were confident, but their arms were folded tight and their shoulders were tense. You probably doubted them. Their words said one thing, but their body said another. Now think about someone who spoke with steady posture, calm hands, and direct eye contact. You trusted them more. You believed their message even before the details. That is the difference body language makes. It either reinforces your words or cancels them. Leaders must make sure their body reinforces. Certainty begins with posture. When you stand tall, you communicate strength. When you slouch or shrink, you communicate doubt. People notice instantly. You do not need to say you are confident if your body already shows it. Stand with your feet steady. Keep your shoulders open. Keep your head lifted. This posture tells people you are present and secure. Leaders know that posture speaks before words. Posture sets the tone of the message before it even begins. Your hands also speak. Nervous hands fidget, hide, or shake. Confident hands move with purpose. They emphasize points. They stay calm when resting. They do not distract. Leaders must learn to control their hands. Use them to support your words, not to compete with them. If you say, "We are steady," but your hands shake, the message weakens. If you say, "We are steady," and your hands remain calm, the message strengthens. The body confirms what the words declare. Eye contact is another key part of body language. When you avoid eyes, people feel you lack confidence. When you look steadily, they feel your certainty. Your words may be strong, but without eye contact, they lose power. Leaders must connect with eyes to prove their sincerity. This does not mean staring without pause. It means holding a gaze long enough to show respect, then moving naturally. Eye contact tells people you believe your own words. Without it, doubt grows in the listener's mind. Your voice is also part of body language. The tone, the pace, and the volume all carry meaning. A shaky tone undermines even strong words. A steady tone reinforces them. Speak with calm rhythm. Do not rush. Do not mumble. Do not whisper in fear or shout in panic. Speak clearly and steadily. People hear certainty not only in what you say, but in how you say it. Leaders who master their tone turn ordinary words into powerful influence. Breathing also shapes body language. Shallow breathing shows nervousness. Deep, steady breathing shows control. People notice the rise and fall of your chest. They feel the pace of your breath in your pauses. When you breathe calmly, your body relaxes. Your voice strengthens. Your presence steadies. Leaders must learn to breathe deeply before and during communication. Breath supports certainty. Breath gives power to both words and posture. Without it, your body betrays your anxiety. Facial expressions cannot be ignored. If your words are positive but your face looks tense, people feel a conflict. If your words inspire hope but your expression is flat, people feel distance. A leader must align expressions with message. When speaking encouragement, let your face show warmth. When speaking strength, let your face show resolve. When addressing challenge, let your face show seriousness. Expressions tell people if your words are true. They trust your face more than your phrases. Movement also communicates. Pacing back and forth can make you look restless. Standing frozen can make you look stiff. The best leaders move with intention. They step forward to show engagement. They pause in place to show importance. They move closer when connection is needed. They step back when reflection is required. Every movement must match the meaning of the words. Random movement distracts. Purposeful movement reinforces. People trust leaders who look composed and deliberate. Matching words with body language also means eliminating contradictions. Do not say "I'm excited" with a dull face. Do not say "I am confident" with slumped shoulders. Do not say "we are strong" with a shaky voice. People notice these conflicts instantly. They may not say it, but they feel it. And once they feel it, trust fades. Certainty comes when every part of you speaks the same message. Your words, your face, your tone, your posture, all aligned. That is when people believe. Leaders must practice this alignment. It does not always come naturally. Record yourself speaking. Watch your face. Watch your posture. Listen to your tone. Notice any gap between your words and your body. Then adjust. Practice until the two match. This discipline turns you into a communicator who not only speaks but also embodies certainty. People believe leaders who live their words in their body. Certainty in body language also builds calm in others. When people see your steady posture, they feel steadier themselves. When they hear your steady tone, they feel calmer. Your body becomes a mirror for their emotions. If you panic, they panic. If you stay composed, they stay composed. Leaders must carry their certainty not just for themselves, but for the people who depend on them. The body is not just personal, it is contagious. Another key is consistency. If you show certainty only sometimes, people doubt you. If your body is strong one day and weak the next, they question your reliability. Consistency proves stability. It shows that your words can be trusted because your presence does not waver. Leaders who match their words with body language day after day become unshakable in the eyes of others. That unshakable presence is what earns long-term trust. Body language also reveals truth during silence. Even when you are not speaking, people watch. They see if your eyes drift in doubt. They see if your shoulders collapse in stress. They see if your hands fidget in fear. Silence tests leaders just as much as speech. In those moments, body language must still carry certainty. Stand tall. Stay calm. Let your presence speak. Leaders who pass the test of silence build credibility that words alone cannot build. This alignment between words and body is not about acting. It is about authenticity. If you try to fake certainty with body language, people will sense it. True certainty comes from preparation, belief, and care. When you prepare, you know your message. When you believe, you feel conviction. When you care, you express sincerity. These inner states naturally shape your body. Alignment becomes easier when your heart and mind are clear. Leaders must build certainty inside to express certainty outside. To master this, practice in real conversations. Next time you encourage someone, notice your face. Does it match your words? Next time you give direction, notice your posture. Does it look confident? Next time you share vision, notice your tone. Does it sound alive? These daily practices build awareness. Awareness builds control. Control builds influence. Over time, your words and body become one. People no longer question if you mean what you say. They know it. They see it. When words and body language align, leaders gain power beyond speech. They become believable. They become trustworthy. They become inspiring. People do not only hear their message, they feel it. That feeling moves people to follow. Chapter 17. Share gratitude often to strengthen influence and trust. Most people go through their days giving effort that no one notices. They stay late to finish a task. They step in to help a teammate. They do the small things that keep everything running, yet too often they hear nothing. Over time, that silence creates discouragement. They start to wonder if their work matters. Leaders must never let this happen. Gratitude is not a luxury. Gratitude is leadership. When you share gratitude, you lift people. You build trust. You make them feel their effort has meaning. Gratitude turns routine into purpose. Think about the last time someone thanked you sincerely. Maybe it was for something small, but you felt seen. You felt respected. That feeling stayed with you longer than the moment. Gratitude has that power. It adds energy to the heart. Now think of times when you gave your best and received no acknowledgement. The work may have been done, but something was missing. The absence of gratitude makes effort feel empty. Leaders who share gratitude often create the opposite. They fill effort with pride. Gratitude builds influence because it creates connection. People do not give their best only for money or rules. They give their best when they feel appreciated. When a leader thanks someone by name and mentions what they did, it builds a bond. It tells them they matter to the mission. That bond makes them want to give more. Gratitude is not weakness. Gratitude is strength. It inspires loyalty. It makes people trust that their leader sees their contribution. Gratitude must be specific. A general thank you is fine, but it fades quickly. Specific gratitude lives longer. Saying, "Thank you for staying calm during that meeting. It helped the whole team stay steady," means more than "good job." Specific gratitude proves you were paying attention. It shows you notice the detail. That detail is what people remember. Leaders must learn to thank with detail, not just with habit. Detail makes gratitude powerful. Gratitude also builds trust when shared consistently. If you only say thank you once in a while, people may doubt your sincerity. They may think it is only for show. But when you share gratitude often, it becomes part of your character. People know you mean it. They know you value them. Consistent gratitude builds an environment where trust grows naturally. People feel safe. They feel recognized. They feel proud to be part of something where gratitude is real. Leaders must also understand that gratitude creates ripple effects. When you thank someone, they often pass that gratitude forward. They encourage a teammate. They show kindness to others. Gratitude spreads. Soon the culture shifts. More people feel recognized. More people want to recognize others. A leader who starts this ripple changes the entire environment. What begins with a few words grows into a culture of appreciation. That culture strengthens both influence and trust across the whole team. Gratitude is also powerful in hard times. When people face setbacks, gratitude keeps them steady. Telling someone, "I know this was difficult, but I appreciate your effort to push through," helps them feel valued even in failure. Gratitude in struggle tells people they are more than results. It tells them their character matters. This kind of gratitude builds trust even deeper than gratitude for success. It reminds people that they are respected for who they are, not just what they achieve. Another important part of gratitude is making it personal. A leader can write thank you notes. A leader can call someone to express appreciation. A leader can mention names in public meetings. Each of these actions adds weight. Public gratitude makes people proud. Private gratitude makes people feel personally valued. Both are important. Leaders must practice both. Gratitude should not be left to chance. It should be built into daily leadership. Gratitude also means not waiting for big moments. You do not need to wait for awards or promotions to thank someone. Gratitude for small acts builds just as much trust. Thank the person who set up the room. Thank the person who answered the question. Thank the person who gave honest feedback. These daily moments show people you notice. They show you value every part of the work, not just the grand results. Leaders who thank for small things create teams where no one feels invisible. Gratitude is most powerful when it is spoken with sincerity. Empty words are noticed quickly. People can sense when you thank out of habit instead of care. True gratitude requires presence. Look at the person. Say their name. Express what you mean. Do not rush. Do not fake it. Sincere gratitude leaves a mark. Insincere gratitude creates mistrust. Leaders must be honest in their appreciation. Even a few genuine words are better than many hollow ones. Gratitude also softens leadership in moments of correction. When you must give tough feedback, add gratitude for what was done right. Say, "I appreciate the effort you gave, and here's how we can improve this next time." That balance keeps trust alive. It shows you see the whole person, not just the mistake. People accept feedback better when it is balanced with gratitude. Gratitude opens the heart to listen. Without it, feedback feels harsh. With it, feedback feels like guidance. Leaders can build habits of gratitude in many ways. Start meetings by thanking someone for a recent effort. End the day by sending one message of appreciation. Keep a list of people you want to recognize weekly. These small habits create a steady flow of gratitude. Over time, people know that working with you means being valued. That reputation builds influence. People want to follow leaders who thank them. Gratitude becomes your strength. Gratitude also increases your influence outside of the team. When you thank clients, partners, or supporters sincerely, they remember. They feel respected. They want to continue the relationship. Gratitude builds bridges across every relationship. It makes influence wider. It makes trust stronger. Leaders who show gratitude beyond their inner circle create lasting connections that open doors for future success. Practicing gratitude also changes the leader. It keeps you humble. It reminds you that success is not only yours but shared. It helps you see the value of every person. This mindset makes you more approachable. People sense it. They feel comfortable around you. They trust you more. Gratitude strengthens not only influence outward but also character inward. A grateful leader becomes a trusted leader. Words of gratitude may be short, but their impact is long. People may forget many details of a project, but they will remember the leader who thanked them. They will remember the tone. They will remember the sincerity. That memory shapes how they see you. It shapes how they respond to you in the future. Gratitude is one of the most lasting forms of influence. It costs nothing, but it builds everything. Leaders must use it daily if they wish to lead with both strength and trust. Chapter 18. Use repetition of key points to create impact. Most people forget most of what they hear within minutes. A leader's message can be clear, but if it is said only once, it fades. The challenge is not only to deliver a point, but to make it stick. Repetition is the tool that turns a single statement into lasting memory. Yet many leaders avoid it. They worry about sounding boring. They fear being predictable. But repetition done with skill does not bore people. It strengthens them. It reminds them. It shapes them. Leaders who know how to repeat key points create impact that lasts long after the words are spoken. Think about the lessons you remember from your life. Many of them were repeated to you again and again. A teacher, a mentor, or a parent said it so often that it became part of you. The power was not in the single mention, but in the repeated message. That repetition carved it into your memory. The same is true in leadership. If you want people to remember, you must repeat. If you want people to act, you must repeat. Repetition builds belief. Belief builds action. Repetition must be intentional. Random repetition feels careless, but planned repetition feels powerful. Leaders must decide which points matter most and return to them often. For example, if trust is the foundation of your team, remind them often, "Trust is our strength." Say it in meetings. Say it in recognition. Say it in feedback. The words sink deeper each time. Soon the team repeats it themselves. That is when repetition becomes culture. Repetition also creates rhythm in communication. When you state something, pause, then state it again with slight variation. It stays in the mind. For example, you can say, "We will finish strong. We will finish with focus. We will finish together." Each repeat builds the impact. The rhythm captures attention. People feel the certainty growing with every line. Repetition used in this way creates momentum in the message. It makes people feel not only the meaning but also the energy. Leaders must also understand that repetition brings clarity. Many people miss a point the first time because they are distracted. But when you repeat it, they catch it. When you repeat it again, they absorb it. Clarity does not come from saying something once. Clarity comes from hearing it multiple times in different moments. Repetition protects against confusion. It ensures that even the busiest or most distracted person gets the message. Repetition also builds trust. When you say the same key points over time, people believe you mean them. If your message changes every week, people doubt your consistency. But if you return to the same principles again and again, they know you are steady. They know you believe what you say. They know your words are not temporary. Repetition proves commitment. It shows people that your message is not passing but permanent. That permanence builds trust. A leader can use repetition across different settings. In speeches, repeat the key line more than once. In meetings, remind the team of the central goal. In personal talks, return to the same encouragement. Even in writing, highlight the same phrase. The medium changes, but the message remains. Each repeat strengthens the core idea. Each repeat adds another layer of impact. People begin to carry the message with them because they cannot escape it. Repetition can also be done with stories. Tell a story once to introduce an idea. Tell it again later to reinforce it. Each time you share it, the story feels familiar yet still powerful. People start to see themselves in it. They repeat it to others. The repetition of stories spreads the message even beyond your voice. Stories combined with repetition build culture faster than any instruction manual. They move from words to shared experience. Leaders must also use repetition to inspire during challenges. In hard times, people forget easily. Fear makes them lose focus. Doubt makes them lose direction. That is when a leader must repeat the vision. Repeat the goal. Repeat the promise. Say it again until hope returns. Say it again until energy rises. Say it again until people remember why they started. Repetition in hard times is not a luxury. It is survival. It keeps people anchored when everything else feels uncertain. Repetition does not mean saying the same thing in the same way every time. The best leaders use variation. They repeat the key point, but with new examples, new stories, or new words. The message stays the same, but the delivery feels fresh. For example, if your point is about perseverance, you might share a story of a teammate today, a quote tomorrow, and a reflection from your own life next week. The core idea is repeated, but the path to it changes. This keeps people engaged while still reinforcing the same truth. Another part of repetition is asking others to repeat. When people say the point themselves, it becomes stronger. You can ask, "What is our main focus this month?" and let them answer with the repeated phrase. When they say it, they own it. It moves from your words to their belief. Leaders who involve others in repetition create deeper impact because the message spreads through voices, not just instructions. Repetition also strengthens memory in the long term. People may forget details, but they remember repeated phrases. Simple lines like "excellence every day" or "trust above all" stay in the mind. They become guiding principles. People recall them in decisions. They recall them in challenges. Leaders who give these repeated lines create anchors in the minds of their teams. Anchors that shape behavior without constant supervision. Leaders must be patient with repetition. Sometimes you may feel tired of saying the same thing. But remember, while you have said it many times, some people are hearing it clearly for the first time. Some are only now ready to absorb it. Leadership is not about novelty. Leadership is about consistency. If a point matters, it must be repeated far beyond your own comfort. That is how it sinks deep enough to create real change. Repetition also builds energy in groups. When a leader repeats a phrase and the group begins to echo it, unity forms. The words become shared identity. They move people from individuals to a team. They create a sense of belonging. People feel part of something larger. This unity multiplies influence. The repeated words become a banner everyone carries. Leaders who create these shared phrases give people a common rhythm that strengthens trust and motivation. Use repetition wisely but boldly. Choose the points that define your leadership. Repeat them in speeches, in meetings, in private talks, and in recognition. Make them so clear that no one can miss them. Make them so strong that no one can forget them. Repetition is not about filling time. It is about filling hearts and minds with what matters most. Leaders who master repetition create impact that lives long after the words are spoken. Chapter 19. Simplify complex ideas into easy, clear messages. One of the hardest struggles people face is trying to understand ideas that feel overwhelming. Most of us have sat in meetings where the speaker used big words, long sentences, and endless details. You tried to keep up, but your mind grew tired. You left the room unsure of what the message really was. This is what happens when leaders fail to simplify. Complexity creates confusion. Confusion creates hesitation. Leaders cannot afford to confuse. Leaders must take the complicated and make it clear. They must turn heavy ideas into simple, understandable messages that people can use. Think about a time when someone explained something in a way that suddenly made sense. The idea may have seemed impossible at first, but their words were simple and direct. You felt relief. You felt empowered. You walked away ready to act. That is the gift of simplification. It turns doubt into confidence. Now think about a time when someone made things harder with their explanation. They used jargon. They spoke in circles. They added more layers of confusion. You left with more questions than answers. That is the danger of complexity without clarity. Simplifying is not about removing depth. It is about making depth accessible. Leaders must know their subject well enough to break it into clear parts. When you truly understand something, you can explain it simply. If you cannot explain it simply, you may not understand it deeply. People respect leaders who can take a large vision and explain it in everyday language. They feel guided. They feel supported. They trust that the leader knows where they are going. One way to simplify is to focus on the main point. Many leaders get lost in details. They want to share everything they know. But too much information drowns the listener. Start with the main idea. What is the one thing they must remember? Say that clearly. Then add only the details that support it. A simple core with clear support is stronger than a long chain of scattered thoughts. The listener does not need everything. They need what matters most. Another way is to use short sentences. Long sentences confuse people. Short sentences give clarity. They are easy to follow. They are easy to remember. They give rhythm to your message. Leaders who use short sentences sound confident and direct. They sound like they know what they want to say. Long sentences sound unsure. Short sentences show certainty. Leaders must also choose familiar words. If you use technical terms, many will feel lost. If you use everyday words, everyone can follow. For example, instead of saying synergize resources, say work together. Instead of saying implement solutions, say put ideas into action. Simple words are not weak. Simple words are strong because they are clear. The goal of leadership is not to impress with language. The goal is to connect with people. Simplifying also means creating steps. When people face a big idea, they freeze. Break it down into small actions. Say, first we will do this, next we will do that, then we will finish with this. Steps give structure. They make the big task feel possible. They remove fear. Leaders who use steps turn complexity into progress. They turn doubt into action. Stories are another tool for simplification. A complex idea can be explained through a short story. People may not remember the theory, but they remember the story. They see the idea in action. They feel it. Stories connect the mind and heart. Leaders who use stories simplify without losing impact. They make the complex real. They make it human. Visuals can also help. Sometimes words alone are heavy. A chart, a picture, or a simple sketch can bring instant clarity. People see in one moment what would take minutes to explain. Leaders do not need to be artists. They only need to use visuals that make the point simple. A circle to show unity. A line to show progress. A chart to show growth. Simple visuals match simple words to strengthen the message. Leaders must also repeat simplified points. People rarely remember after hearing something once. Repetition makes it stick. Repeat the main point at the start. Repeat it in the middle. Repeat it at the end. Each repeat deepens the impact. Each repeat makes the message clearer. Simplification combined with repetition builds memory. It builds belief. Simplifying also requires empathy. Leaders must ask, how will this sound to someone hearing it for the first time? They must see through the listener's eyes. If it feels heavy, break it down. If it feels confusing, make it clearer. If it feels distant, make it closer. Empathy ensures the message reaches the heart, not just the ears. Leaders who simplify with empathy connect faster and deeper. Confidence grows when ideas are simple. People cannot act on what they do not understand. They hesitate. They delay. They doubt themselves. But when the message is simple, confidence rises. People act quickly. They act together. They act with belief. Simplification is not only about words. It is about action. It gives people the courage to move forward. Leaders must practice this daily. After every explanation, ask, could I make this clearer? Could I shorten this? Could I use simpler words? Could I cut away what is not needed? This habit builds skill. Over time, simplicity becomes natural. People begin to expect clarity when you speak. They begin to trust that you will never confuse them. That trust becomes part of your influence. Simplification is not laziness. It is discipline. It takes effort to cut away excess. It takes courage to choose fewer words. It takes clarity of mind to explain simply. Many people hide behind complexity. Leaders do not hide. Leaders make things clear. They take the weight off others by carrying the burden of explanation themselves. This is one of the greatest gifts a leader can give. When you simplify complex ideas into easy, clear messages, you do more than inform. You empower. You give people the confidence to act. You give them the strength to believe. You give them the clarity to follow. Leaders who master simplicity create teams that move faster, stronger, and with greater unity. Simplicity is not the absence of depth. Simplicity is the presence of clarity. It is the leader's duty to make the complex simple and the simple unforgettable. Chapter 20. End conversations with direction that inspires progress. One of the common struggles people face is leaving conversations without clarity. They talk for minutes or even hours, but when the talk is over, no one knows what to do next. They walk away uncertain. They walk away without energy. They walk away without progress. Leaders cannot let this happen. Every conversation must end with direction. Every talk must close with purpose. When you end with direction, you guide people. When you end with inspiration, you lift people. A leader's responsibility is not only to begin conversations well, but to close them in a way that moves others forward. Think about the difference between two types of conversations. In one, someone speaks at length, but when it ends, you wonder, what now? You feel lost. You feel nothing has changed. In the other, the speaker ends with a clear step. They say, here's what we will do next. Or they say, I know this will be hard, but we can achieve it together. You walk away focused. You walk away encouraged. You walk away ready. This is the power of closing with direction that inspires progress. It is not the number of words spoken that matters most. It is the way the conversation ends. Leaders must learn to give closure that builds action. People crave clarity. They want to know what comes next. When you end with vagueness, they delay. When you end with clarity, they move. For example, instead of saying, think about it, say, let's take this step by Friday. Instead of saying, we'll see, say, here's how we'll measure progress. A leader who ends with direction gives people something to hold on to. They feel guided. They feel steady. They feel prepared. Direction is important, but inspiration makes it powerful. If you give direction without hope, people may obey, but they will not believe. If you inspire without direction, people may feel good, but they will not know what to do. The balance is to give both. End conversations with words that both guide and energize. Say, this will be tough, but I believe in our strength. Say, here's the next step, and I know you can do it. Direction moves the mind. Inspiration moves the heart. Together they create progress. Leaders must also know that the last words are often the most remembered. People may forget the middle of the conversation, but they remember the ending. If the ending is unclear, confusion stays. If the ending is negative, discouragement stays. If the ending is clear and positive, focus and hope stay. This is why the close matters so much. It is the part that lingers. It is the part that shapes the next action. Leaders must be intentional about endings, not casual. Ending with direction also shows respect. It tells people you value their time. It tells them you want to use the conversation for purpose. Many people grow frustrated when meetings or talks drag on without resolution. They feel their energy was wasted. But when a leader ends with direction, they feel their time was worth it. They know something was achieved. They know progress was made. Respect grows when conversations end with purpose. Leaders must practice clarity in their final words. Avoid long sentences. Avoid clutter. Use short, direct lines. Say, here's what matters most. Say, this is the step we will take. Say, this is where we are going. Simple lines stay in the mind. People can repeat them later. Complexity fades. Simplicity lasts. Leaders who end with simple clarity make sure no one leaves confused. Inspiration at the end must also be personal. Use names. Use recognition. Say, Sarah, your work here will make the difference. Say, John, I know you will lead this well. Personal words create pride. They create ownership. They make the direction feel alive. People respond with more energy when the closing words touch them directly. Leaders must not miss the chance to personalize. The ending is the perfect time to remind someone they matter. Another part of ending with direction is setting momentum. The close should not feel heavy. It should feel like movement. Even small steps give people momentum. You can say, let's start by writing the outline tomorrow. Or, let's meet again next week with one idea each. Small direction creates forward motion. Forward motion creates belief. Leaders who end with small but clear direction keep progress alive. Leaders must also use endings to reinforce values. A closing line can remind the team of what they stand for. Let's move forward with integrity. Let's finish this with unity. Let's keep trust as our foundation. These reminders turn direction into more than tasks. They turn it into culture. Over time, people carry these values into everything they do. The repetition of values in closing words shapes behavior. Leaders build culture one ending at a time. Ending with direction also strengthens accountability. When you say, we will do this by next Monday, it creates a marker. People know what is expected. They know when it is expected. They feel responsible. Accountability inspires action. Without clear endings, accountability disappears. People drift. Deadlines fade. Energy weakens. Leaders keep accountability strong by ending with direction that everyone can see and remember. Another benefit is emotional closure. Conversations often bring out emotions, fear, doubt, excitement, or stress. If you end without closure, those emotions remain raw. But if you end with hope and direction, people leave calmer and stronger. Even if the topic was hard, they leave steadier. The leader's last words give emotional balance. This is how leaders turn tension into trust. They do it through the way they close. Leaders must avoid ending conversations with uncertainty. Phrases like, we'll see, maybe, or let's hope, weaken influence. They sound unsure. They drain energy. Even if you do not know every answer, you can still end with certainty. Say, here's what we will figure out next. Say, this is what we know for now, and we will build from here. Certainty does not mean knowing everything. It means guiding with what you know. People want certainty more than perfection. Leaders give it through clear direction. Closing words can also inspire by looking ahead. People need to feel the future. Endings that point forward give them hope. Say, when we meet again, we will celebrate progress. Say, imagine the success waiting for us after this step. Forward-looking endings make people lift their eyes. They stop focusing only on problems. They start focusing on possibility. Leaders who point forward in closing words make people eager to continue. Practice ending with direction in every setting. At the end of a meeting, state the next step. At the end of a one-on-one, affirm belief in the person. At the end of a speech, give a challenge. At the end of an email, write the action clearly. Every close is a chance. Every close shapes progress. Leaders who train themselves to use every ending for direction become trusted guides. People know that with them, conversations always lead somewhere. Ending well is as important as starting well. The start captures attention. The middle builds meaning. The end drives action. If the end is weak, the whole conversation loses impact. If the end is strong, the whole conversation feels powerful. Leaders must always protect the ending. It is the spark that carries people forward. It is the last impression. It is the beginning of progress. When you end conversations with direction that inspires progress, you do more than speak, you lead.